welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Patrick.
That is Patrick. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a really special one, in my opinion. This is Jar Jar's Big Adventure. Oh, wait. Actually, it's Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which was in the original script called Jar Jar's Big Adventure as a joke.
that he's barely in.
Oh, so good.
Jar Jar the Sith Lord.
That was in response to the poor reception of Jar Jar Binks and George Lucas, partially to help jokify his extreme anxiety over writing this movie, kept threatening to turn Jar Jar Binks into the main character.
Oh, goodness. The George Lucas has an interesting relationship with his fans, too, because he loves them, but also kind of doesn't.
It's almost like they're his children in a way.
Yeah, well, you know. Most parents end up disappointing us. Oh, anyways, no, I'm looking forward to this one. This is quickly. I want to say, like, set the record straight. Anybody who listened to last week, we ranked Star Wars at the end of that show. This is the worst Star Wars movie. I put this higher on my list because I have personal vendettas against some of the other ones. This is, objectively speaking, the worst Star Wars movie, and I just wanted to clear that up right away. But I'm still looking forward to this. Ooh. I have not watched this movie. It's been at least 10 years since I've actually watched. I did a bunch of research today. Like, I went on a walk and I was listening to a bunch of stuff and kind of refreshed on the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm caught up on the info, so to speak, but I'm going to experience watching these scenes in all their glory with you guys for the first time since my kids were in the single digits.
Wow.
That is a heck of a thing. You see, we did that little ranking last week, and I did put this one at the bottom, and it is still there. This is objectively the worst Star Wars movie.
Dialogue is so bad.
I will tell you that I would rather watch Attack of the Clones than Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker.
100%. Me too. 100%. I was silently, like, taking deep breaths, trying to be like, how? But I get it. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, well, and I feel the same way. That's what I mean. I'm not changing my rankings from last week. I'm just saying I recognize this is a worse film, but I agree with you. I would still watch this first. Mm-hmm. But this is the other ones, and this is the last thing I'll say about it. I promise. The other ones are more frustrating to watch, with the exception of Episode 7. I do still really enjoy Force Awakens, despite some sadness watching it. But the other ones are more frustrating to me because they knew better, where they should have known better. Whereas this one is literally cutting edge for everything it's doing. Oh, yeah.
And if you watch the behind the scenes, and maybe you saw this, George Lucas said numerous times, it's not about the dialogue. It's not about the acting, it's about the visuals. I am a visual storyteller. That's like one of his direct quotes, or almost direct quotes.
Yeah.
And you see that in this film. One of the things I noticed rewatching this, there are certain scenes in it, beautiful scenes. Like, genuinely just like cinematography, colors, and all that stuff that are incredible. And some scenes that should have been, if not for the unfortunately janky CGI.
Yeah. Well, the other quote that stuck out with me. Well, really quickly, I want to put this. This movie, I was thinking about how to phrase this, and over the years, you know, we're coming up on 20. It's 20 years this year for Revenge of the Sith, and over the years, I have felt compelled to go back and watch Phantom Menace multiple times due to the pod race, Duel of the Fates, kind of just where it all started again, and then at the end of the '90s, and Revenge of the Sith for the same reason. There's elements in that film that make me feel compelled to go back and revisit it every now and then. This movie doesn't. There's not as much in this film. There's not like moments in this where I'm just like, despite the issues, which the other two prequels have that caveat also, but despite the issues, there's this, and this that I want to see again, or that I really enjoy, or I find redeeming enough to sit through kind of the jankiness to enjoy this part of it. And Attack of the Clones, personally for me, just doesn't have nearly enough of the positive to make me want to sit down and deliberately put it on. Although I'm happy to do it here with you guys because this is fun. But what I was going to say is the other quote by George Lucas, really fast, then I'll let you go, Zach, is he said, and I'm like, George, listen to yourself. He was talking about how he had to constantly be restrained. He was being restrained by limits and by, he couldn't just move without restraint in the original trilogy. And here he finally, didn't have to be restrained anymore. I'm like, George, you were so close. You failed to recognize that restraint is just as important as overindulgence at times, because that's what the prequels did. In a moment, is George, you let yourself go too far, and that's all I'll say. But he did say that, and I was like, you said it out loud, George. You just didn't hear what you should have said afterwards. Which is, and even though I don't have restrictions, I still should find a few places to hold myself back.
Yeah. Well, I think that we should jump into it because it is a pretty long one.
Yeah. Really quick, I was going to ask you, Pat, what was your thought going to see this in the theater after Phantom Menace? Like, kind of where were you at was it 2001 or 2002? I forget which year this was.
2001.
Okay. But Pat, where were you at this point after 2 years after Phantom Menace, approximately?
I mean, it's tough to go back there. I mean, the last 15 years of Star Wars has slowly put dents in my Beskar armor. I'm such a Star Wars fanboy, and so I loved everything about this. There's lightsabers in it, and there's multiple colors on the screen at the same time. Who the hell cares? Like, that's probably where my mindset was back then. Like, this is awesome. Lots of Jedi. I want more Jedi. Give me more. Like, give me Skittles, the rainbow of Jedi. That's what I want. Yeah. And so I got that. And so, and granted, I wasn't nearly as particular about what I watch, or like, didn't really care much about. I wasn't looking for like, oh, okay, well, what does this mean? I wasn't really digging too deep. I was pretty surface with a lot of it, unless it was strictly Star Wars lore. So yeah, loved it.
Yeah, I will say I miss, as much as I love kind of critically looking at film, I do miss being at an age where I just didn't think about that as much. So it's like a double-edged sword. I really enjoy analyzing film, and the more I learn about why something is good and why something is bad and what the nuances are, I really enjoy that. It's also, if you could somehow like, all right, I'm going to like take a pause and just put that stuff in a box in my mind and just watch something without any of that, I could definitely see the allure of that. So, but Zach, why don't you give us the quick hit list on this film?
Quick and dirty. This is Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, 2002. Oh, I was wrong. My bad. 2002. This is PG, which is strange considering that corset. 2 hours and 22 minutes long. Directed by George Lucas. Written by George Lucas. Also the only of the prequel series to have additional writers other than George Lucas. In this case, a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Hales, who wrote things like The Scorpion King. And starring, of course, we have Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Christopher Lee, Samuel L. Jackson, Frank Oz, Ian McDermott, Demora Murrison, Jimmy Smits, and Pernilla August. Probably didn't need to include her, but you know what? Shmi Skywalker. Let's go. Why not?
Yeah. Apparently, aren't there a couple Australian like national treasures in the like in the cafe and the few places in Coruscant that are like in like Australian cinema, like several people that they care about, but nobody else has any idea who they are.
That is my understanding. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
because these were all
I have
shot in
some of
Australia,
that
right?
written down. They were. Well, in various places. This
Okay.
one actually had a whole lot of on the set because it filmed in Australia. Some of it was filmed in London. Some of it was filmed in Italy. Some of it was filmed in Tunisia. So
The
yeah,
big
it's just
studio
ding,
stuff
ding,
though,
ding.
like the big like the studio stuff was all because like the original story was Pinewood Studios in England, famously, but this was these three films were filmed, I believe, at a large studio in Australia. Correct?
Yes, some of it because some of it was also filmed at Pinewood Studios as well.
Really? See, first, and I watched like literally 2.5 hours of behind the scenes and commentary on this, and there's still so much about these that, yeah, you could
Oh, yeah.
study these for a long time. So,
Well,
all right.
I mean, I was looking at this one that was a very brief remembrance of Attack of the Clones that was 8 hours long.
Oh my gosh,
I didn't watch it, but I'm just like, bruh.
those poor YouTube editors.
Mm,
That's a lot.
indeed.
Okay. All right. Well, we are gonna
They have passion.
Yeah, you got to give them that. We're gonna hit that play
ready.
button
I'm ready.
in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey.
Fox
So,
fanfare.
really funny thing about this one to me is that there's actually a bunch of deleted scenes. And they would have made the
Yeah.
movie so much better.
Right.
Okay.
Like, there's some of them that they've released, the deleted scenes, where it's like, oh, glad they cut that one. But there's this whole thing of Anakin and Padme visiting Padme's parents when they get to Naboo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite good. It's world building, it's establishing relationships. There's things in it that make you go, oh, this makes Leia make more sense. You know? But for some reason they were just like, you know what? Let's not do that. And
It already was a long movie. Although I think you and I and Pat could all find a few things to cut out of this film if the length was an issue, or at least
yeah.
trim a little, nip and a tuck here.
Reese-
So this is 10 years, correct, after the events of Phantom
10
Menace?
years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot
The
happens.
separatist movement under the leadership of the mysterious Count Dooku has made it difficult for the limited number of Jedi Knights to maintain peace and order in the galaxy. This is one of those movies where a bunch of interesting things that are important to the entire story happen off screen.
Oh, yeah.
And that bothers me.
Yeah, I feel like if you wanted to really understand all this, well, and again, after this movie, we're watching this with the benefit of, the exceptionally good at times, and, even when it was average, still pretty good, the Clone Wars animated series, which filled out the time in between this and Revenge of the Sith so well. But yeah, I feel like in between Phantom Menace and this, there's definitely room for some plot exploration.
I mean, they've done that in the limited series Tales of the Jedi. It breaks down the fall of Count Dooku. It explains the absence of Jedi Master Yaddle, and other such things.
This big old cruiser, this big Naboo cruiser.
Yeah.
This guy's helmet just looks, just unfortunate.
Well, it's a pre-version of those weird little boat helmets from the original.
So this ship sounds a lot like the droid carriers going over the ground in Phantom Menace.
I could see that.
There's actually there's a 25-minute like documentary that's attached to this in Disney Plus that talks about the sound of Star Wars. And they talk about some of this and how they get some of these sounds. It's really interesting. I was watching it earlier,
yes.
but did not quite finish it.
Some of the ships in here use sound effects made from the motors of B-2 bombers. That's B-2, as in the wooden prop planes from World War One. They got people to fly them, and they just recorded the sounds of them, and then added some reverb to them, and that's a ship.
Oh yeah. You got Eye Patch Guy. It's always cool to have that.
Dollar store Chakotay over there. But yeah, this is Captain Panaka again, and he's
No, that's not. That's not Captain Panaka.
That's not Panaka.
It's a different one. No. Nope.
You're right. You're right because they couldn't
Yeah,
get
it's
the
a different
actor
guy.
back. I
They were
actually knew that.
lucky.
I was going to say it. I meant to say Panaka like stand-in, but I just said no. It's Panaka.
I love it in the wide shot there. Like the explosion takes out one of the Naboo fighters. They're lucky that it wasn't theirs. That it just randomly hit the other one.
Well, the pilots had already exited.
Still, there's some shrapnel.
Yeah. Right.
So leave
You
'em.
see the gun there I thought was kind of interesting. Because it's kind of like the weird little Nabooian pistols that they had in the last one, but it's more evolving towards the darker ones, more military-ish
Well,
that
this-
they have in the later ones.
Yeah, I mean, this whole movie really starts setting up the aesthetic change. I mean, the Jedi fighters, really noticeably, and a few of the color scheme, bringing in a little more industrial, touches here and there, while still obviously seeing a lot of the old, kind of glorious.
Right. So this scene
His chair.
features, yeah,
This is
yeah,
version
it's a
point
weird,
point one of the Emperor's Throne right there.
right? But
Hey, when you find
the-
something you
the
like,
features-
you don't have to change it. Just saying. If it ain't broke.
right? But this features the introduction of a whole bunch of really important characters for later things, or at least fan favorites. Standing right behind them, right there, is Jedi Padawan by the name of Barriss Offee, who in the Clone Wars becomes a major villain. Falls to the dark side. And then there's the tentacle head, Happy Cthulhu over there, who is Kit Fisto.
Fisto.
Fury.
Uh-huh.
Kit Fisto. Unfortunate name, but people love the look of him so much that George Lucas was like, oh, heck yeah. Let's give this guy more stuff to do. And he was actually a personal favorite of George Lucas's.
The guy that walks in that's got like the two horns with like the two
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he's having some performance issues on the lower ones.
That
I'm
character
sorry.
is that is a character that they flesh out in the extended quite
His name
a
is
bit. He's like-
Masamida. He's
Masamida,
basically
thank
his
you.
his right hand man. The
Yep.
Emperor's
Uh,
dog, basically. Before he
they
had
were
Vader.
Yep. Well, not in a Sith way, but
No.
he's one of the people who's in on the conspiracy. Masamida knows about the Sith conspiracy. And they actually were going to use him in the sequel trilogy. They were going to bring him in as somebody who survived everything and was part of the First Order, and then decided against it for some reason.
The Twi'lek next to Jimmy Smits.
Yeah, the fat
to,
Twi'lek.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, funny you found her out.
Yeah, I just like.
I'm
Oh wow,
just
she's just back there. Like,
this guy.
okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Shirt half open.
Yeah, it's like, all right. Yeah, you can't see her in this shot, but so I do enjoy
The blue one or
and
the green one?
The blue one, the thin blue one, over his right shoulder. Anyways, I do enjoy that here we've already established kind of the just the Jedi hubris of dismissing immediately that because Count Dooku used to be a Jedi, he couldn't possibly be that evil, and then later with the librarian, just the idea that it must not exist, like because we can't be wrong. I mean, that they really start getting into the Jedi as an organization that they're just so just docile and cathartic and just unwieldy at this point. They're so blind to so many things, even like Yoda and Mace.
Yeah.
It's I mean that theme. I wish they'd almost done more of that, because I feel like that was such a big part of why this could have happened.
So, one of the things that is very apparent in this scene to me is one of the big mistakes of the entire movie. It is not, with the exception of Padme, okay, mostly because I'm a male. This is the main characters are not aesthetically pleasing. Obi-Wan Kenobi's hair is terrible. There's a reason that people have jokingly put up portraits of him in Mormon churches saying that he's,
Jesus.
Aryan Jesus. And then
Yeah.
the hair and the braid and the kind of sulky slouch on Anakin, I hate it. They don't look good. They don't look like people that you want to dress up as. And it's not like everybody needs to be a Hercules, but you want to be, heroic looking. They don't look heroic.
Dang,
They look like
friend
two
zone.
guys.
Boom, friend zoned.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very, very dark, very distinct friend zone. These guys look like if you walked into a bar, you wouldn't want them to talk to you.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that, but that's a valid point. I mean, and the thing is, you can't fault the effort of the costume designers of these films because I think is it Trish something is her name, like a very very talented,
So good with costumes.
yeah, incredibly talented costume designer. But
Well,
the Jedi
one
just
thing,
all look dull and boring and just yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Both the Jedi needed a little bit more pizzazz to them. This is something that the High Republic comics of today and the Legacy Republic or Legacy Jedi, Luke Skywalker's Jedi in the comics and books and everything did better. Is that they had more variety. They looked cooler. They looked more unique while still having this kind of roby vibe. But sitting right next to Padme here is her handmaiden Corday, which, much like in the last movie with Keira Knightley going on to do stuff, this is Rose Byrne, who went on to be a big part of a number of movies.
Yeah.
She was present in the prequel X-Men movies, the Insidious horror series. Like, she's made a name for herself. She's a very good actress. And she's just Corday.
Yeah. Now,
Boo-hoo.
one thing I will say, I know that
baby.
I'm so glad that Hayden's kind of gotten, to come full circle as far as the fandom, because kind of like Jake, as the actor in Phantom, he's doing. I truly believe that he's doing exactly what George told him to do. I think that he's playing this.
They
very
hired
much.
him because he could do Sulky.
Yeah, because he's.
Which I really think that was a bad choice on George Lucas's
Yeah.
part. They should have made him insecure but incredibly charming.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, and it's a shame because not that Hayden's like the greatest actor that's ever lived, but he's a better actor than these movies give him credit for, and it's just it ends up you're not supposed to dislike him. You're supposed to feel sorry for him. You're supposed to be watching this tragic figure who's kind of set on a course that he didn't really choose, and just going through all this, and instead you don't really care in some ways because he's just so annoying. You're like, all right, let's just get on with this, and that's a shame because it undermines the strength of the story arc.
Yeah.
R2 in sentry mode.
Right? Really ineffective scanners, by the way.
Yeah, and you want to talk about like one of the worst bounty hunter situations like ever as far as just how this goes down?
You mean the 6 levels of outsourcing?
Yeah, I will say Caravan did such a good job on that, and it's so true because it's like, what? It's like, I told you to do this, you do this, and then there's like no follow through. Like, man, Django could have easily finished this himself, at least like as presented in the film, and then just like he just like nopes out.
Supposedly, it was partially in order to give them the Jedi the push to seek out Kamino. This could be part
All
of
very set up.
the part of the setup, part of the plot. But that's another one of the failings of this movie is that it's not super well written. George Lucas had massive writer's block, massive studio interference to deal with, and the whole thing is just, it's not tightly written. It's got all these loose ends. Who's Sifo Dyas? For anybody that hasn't watched the Clone Wars, who's Sifo Dyas?
He's the dude that started the clones. That's literally all I know.
That's all we know. And he's been dead for 10 years, which made a whole bunch of people that I knew think that Sifo Dyas was actually Qui-Gon.
I remember hearing that theory quite a bit when I was when this was all fresh and new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Well, and I know Tales of the Jedi actually went into a little bit of the Qui-Gon's death and how it affected Dooku, which was sort of interesting.
It was one of he had already decided to leave the Jedi Order, but it is kind of what pushed him into the arms of the Sith. Mm-hmm. And he was actually the one who did a bunch of the stuff that Sifo Dyas is given credit for, even though Sifo Dyas was also manipulated by the Emperor.
These are really intelligent little bugs, by the way. That can be like,
Yeah, I was just
Ooh.
gonna say, dude.
hide from. I would imagine. Just imagining as R2 like pans his light over Padme's head that she like wakes up like puts her hand up like R2. Why are you shining that thing in my face when I'm trying to sleep? Sorry.
Yeah, super smart
Totally
worms.
undermines Zach's telling this like important point and just.
It's not really important. I was just going to bring up again the incredibly wonderful quality novel that is Darth Plagueis that goes into Palpatine and Plagueis' manipulation of Master Sifo-Dyas into the creation of the Clone Army.
I have like 2 open credits on Audible, and I need to just get that book and just listen to it.
Which book? I'm sorry.
Sifo-Dyas.
Plagueis. Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, guys, just like, I do kind of like that scene. It shows this kind of seemingly reckless, but almost like scalpel sharp abilities that these guys have. And I really like that.
Yeah, no, I do really appreciate that Anakin was able to effortlessly know exactly what he was cutting. Like he didn't even graze the pillow. Like it's not even a burn mark on the, the sheet.
Mm-hmm. And then you also have him jumping out the window to grab this thing, and it's just like he knew. He just acted on instinct. He trusted his instincts, and I know it's good stuff.
Yeah, this whole chase sequence is not bad. Like there's some good stuff
it's
here.
One of the best. Yeah, this is one of those things that should have been kind of the pod race for this movie, but the stakes aren't huge. I think that's one of the problems with it. We're not super into it because we don't know all the characters, we don't know all the players yet.
I do love that we get the same species here, though,
huge.
from the pod race. There's a little throwback.
Well, neither does Obi-Wan or Anakin. That's part of the thing. Yeah, of course we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta. It's setting up the story, right? At a certain point.
Mm-hmm. A really good world building through everything in Coruscant here. One of the things that this movie did do well is world building.
Yeah.
The designs, the aesthetic of everything. I think that this one sets up.
Why not just shoot him?
Expanded universe.
Why not just shoot him?
Well, I think that goes to the whole thing where you want the Jedi to actually, like, where if this was a better explained film, that this is all part of a very elaborate plot, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
But the movie doesn't explain that at all.
No, in fact, I don't think it was even the idea during writing. I think it was a fix.
I also want to say I kind of hate her like shooting because like she like one, she's stationary, she's firing a sniper rifle like standing up, and when she shoots it, she like wheels back like almost a quarter step, like there was just like this like heavy duty like just really did not play it well as like just this lethal killer who's incredibly well trained. Really looked like an amateur taking that shot. I just want to say.
Well, Zam Wessel, the character name is Zam Wessel, is kind of a terrible bounty hunter. Like, every time you see her in anything, she kind of sucks.
Which is why Django hired her.
Well, they were like partners and friends. She was like the entire video game of Jango Fett Bounty Hunter is him trying to rescue Zam because she's a terrible bounty hunter and got herself captured. Yeah. Really good setup of rapport between these two characters as well, Anakin and Obi-Wan, because they have such a short time to do it before they end up splitting the characters up.
Yeah. They really, in all these films, they don't give Anakin and Obi-Wan very much ever, but it's just love the random.
Well, that's why you need
obstacles.
The Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You need the Clone Wars between 2 and 3 to really flesh it out.
Yeah,
their relationship.
These movies do not, in and of themselves, establish that these were best friends.
But they do well enough in the limited amount of time that they do have together. Like I said, they do really well at establishing rapport here at the beginning, because at the end of Revenge of the Sith, when they're fighting, you're my brother, and it is emotional.
Oh yeah, although it is there. I've always maintained that part of that though is that Ewan McGregor's delivery is good enough to make up for a little bit of the lack of just screen time. I agree. This stuff is good. And then you get a little bit at the end, we're on the columns, and then in Revenge of the Sith, just the opening, but it's not horrible, but it's still, it's hard to separate how much character development was done during the Clone Wars animated series. For me, it's like almost hard to like separate it out in my mind. But I think so much of the power of that moment in Revenge of the Sith was the delivery of Ian McGregor.
Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah.
What do you think of this whole like shortcut thing, getting lost? I don't know. This always felt weird to me. I didn't really like it.
I also I thought it was weird that like Anakin's acting like a kid here. That Obi-Wan, I don't know. I feel like it's I think George was trying to come up with a comedy bit, but it just feels awkward in a way because Obi-Wan would have an idea that Anakin knows what he's doing, and at the same time, I don't know, Anakin's just trying to show off. I get the Anakin trying to show off, but that Obi-Wan is genuinely like, oh, well, you lost him, and I'm just going to sit here and cross my arms and scold you a little bit. I'm not going to like try to come up with a plan or something. It's played weird.
It's played incompetently, which doesn't really fit with how you really want them to be. Because like they've been competent in other things that they've been doing, like with what Anakin's doing right now. He's showing that he's strong, determined, fit. He's clever, and like
reckless, brash.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, I love it.
I love that both of them lose their. Interesting that the turn showing her face there. I do love that they both lose their lightsabers in this movie.
Okay, this movie so undermines just kind of the incredible importance of like the moment in the original Star Wars and thus the legacy in Force Awakens of like, it was your father's lightsaber, because he goes through like 3 of them in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it would have been
assuming
great
that
if Luke went, which one? Which one do you mean?
Yeah. Well, it would have
It
been.
was found on the planet of Geonosis, right?
What?
Like,
And you
great,
could have
that one.
could have had like a reference maybe in Revenge of the Sith, like him like rebuilding the the original one from this film maybe or something, or I don't know. You could have. Is that in a book
They
somewhere?
do that in one of the books, interestingly, because there's this whole.
Of course, it's in a book.
Well, there's this whole thing about it because the Jedi Council actually gets all like pissy about it because they don't like the way that he put it together. Because
If
he
only
built
there was
it with
force
some-
speed that he could use to catch her.
right? But yeah, he builds his lightsaber in a more almost aggressive way. Like it's built specifically for using like
For attack.
anti-personnel attack maneuvers type of thing. And they're like, that's not a weapon of a Jedi for defense, that's a weapon of attack and killing. And he's like, hey, it's a war.
Yeah, but then there's Mace Windu's lightsaber that, I mean, come on.
Yeah, the BMF saber.
Well, I mean, and at a certain point, if we're going to sit there, I mean, granted, he's a master.
I think when you become a master,
Still.
you get to rebuild your lightsaber, however you want to.
And you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like a rank up, where you get like some new points to spend on your lightsaber.
Like, look at this scene, okay? Look at Obi-Wan's face. He is a handsome man. He's ugly right there.
Yeah.
Like, the facial hair and everything is so bad on him.
Well, it's funny after watching a bunch of, kind of behind the scenes stuff and talking about like what the Duel of the Fates really was, like hearing them bicker. It's like trying to picture Qui-Gon in Obi-Wan's shoes and how that conversation would have been different. Like, yeah.
One of the tables here has a bunch of people around it. I think they're the ones behind Anakin in this shot right here, including Anthony Daniels and the stuntmaster person.
Oh, okay.
The lightsaber trainer dude.
That's Ahmed Best right there.
Yes, Ahmed Best was also there.
Yeah.
Them death sticks.
Death sticks.
What kind of a name for product is that?
I know.
Oh gosh.
This character, dude, I swear.
That she
his
doesn't.
name. I looked this up. Sorry, you're on.
Well, I was gonna say the fact that she doesn't change her appearance in this bar, it's just weird. It's just like, all right, you're just gonna hide in plain sight when you can literally change your face.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard for changelings to change their face. These aren't Odos.
Mm.
But that actor though, who was Deathstick's guy, he's a prominent Australian actor. Most people would recognize him from The Matrix. He was the character Mouse. You know, red dress guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Obi-Wan, he just loves to cut off dudes' hands in bars.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody has to have a hobby.
Yep. I love this idea of like Jedi business. Just ignore us. You know, they call it like the back too. This is like the back alley versus the front door.
Yeah. The character though, Deathstick guy, his name is Ilan Sabagno, which was supposed to sound like Sleaze Bagano. He's a sleaze bag.
I love that like she responded to Anakin being like, "Tell us now," and she was like, "I'm going to tell you."
Good cop, bad cop.
Ooh, that was a rough effect. Sorry.
I did like that you see the dart hit, and then like a half second later, you hear the like a bullet report. Yeah, touch the toxic dart with your fingers.
He should have, he should have licked it and then spit because that's what you do, right? You're like, oh, it's poison.
Yeah. Very
Indiana Jones.
Very Indiana Jones with freaking Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
I love this Jedi Master.
With tentacles.
Tentacle, singular.
It's the dinosaur Jedi back there.
He looks so much like a particular species that was in an episode of Voyager where they're all stuck in dreams. Hated that episode. Here is her judgment. She must respect. I do love Yoda.
I do. Well, Yoda's. I mean, Frank Oz's voice work is just so good. And then, okay, what's the one on the right? He was a master that was really special to
Plo Koon.
Plo Koon.
Yeah, he was special.
He's a master of force judgment. It's good force lightning.
Okay.
Yeah, which they told him not to use because they thought that it might be darksiding. He's just like, no, dude, this is cool. But during the filming of Mandalorian Season 2, when they were doing the scene where Luke comes to take Grogu, they actually used a model of Plo Koon. So that everybody on set
throw people off. Yep.
Total red herring, totally fake in case somebody spoiled it. And then they filmed the scenes with Mark Hamill separately.
Okay. Wasn't he a big deal in Ahsoka's life in the animated series?
Correct. He already had a Padawan, so he couldn't take her, but he was the one who found her, and he kind of mentored her during her early life.
Gotcha. Okay, I thought I remembered something about that. Love Yoda's
Good job, Brian.
Aw, I know some stuff.
I'm proud of you, man. Your Star Wars nerd is showing, and I love it.
Yes. I do like Yoda's little floating saucer.
Yeah,
he's just like,
and it's
I'm not gonna keep up with you guys. It's like a little short legs.
And it's kind of a precursor to the baby.
8 years old you become, you get flying saucer too. Sorry.
No, but it absolutely is a little bit of a, you're right. It has definitely a little bit of Baby Yoda. All my kids refuse to call him Grogu. They're just like, nope, he's Baby Yoda forever, even when he's grown up. I'm like, all right. I do love the window replacement, that little detail.
Yeah.
Oh man, see this.
This is a good thing, and
yeah, you were just about to you doom the entire galaxy with Jar Jar here.
Okay, did you know that Ahmed Best was present throughout like a whole bunch of the filming for no real reason other than he was like pretty much making his own documentary, shooting behind the scenes footage, and he made himself such an integral part of the Star Wars universe, despite how terrible an experience some of it was for him, and I love that.
Good for him. Well, you know one thing that I see in all the behind the scenes stuff, even on these films, that I totally believe, and it always makes me happy, is how many people were just excited to be part of Star Wars. They didn't even care. They didn't care if they were extras. They didn't care if they were just like, I just get to be here. Like, there's George Lucas. We get to hang out. It's Star Wars. We're doing like just the excitement about the thing itself was so just in the bones of production and in all the people working on it. The only other production I remember, seeing behind the scenes stuff where it was like that was Lord of the Rings, where it was just people were just like, I just get to make mail, and just like, this is cool. And there's something about that it just makes me happy. And even though the end result isn't as amazing as Lord of the Rings was for these films, I'm so happy that that behind the scenes people were very joyously working on these films.
Yeah. What do you think of the proto cinnamon buns? She has like croissants.
I'm so into it, dude. They're apple turnovers. Get it right.
See, I'm just thinking of there's a character in the BioShock world that's got like horns up the side of their head.
Horns up the side of their head.
Yeah, it's got like
like the splicers.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh man, Padme really goes from like buttoned up to a little more relaxed later in this movie.
Well, one of the things, she actually had a major complaint with the costuming from the first one because it was so extravagant and uncomfortable and difficult to move that the costume designer went out of her way to work with her and made everything that she wore in this really comfortable. So even like stuff like this. I do like that they acknowledge, because the love story is one of the weak points of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I do enjoy that they acknowledge the fact that she's a little weirded out by his awkwardness. But at the same time, he's not like overtly creepy dangerous to her. I don't know. It's not well done, but I like the intention of being like, this is a sheltered dude who deeply loves and cares for this woman. Well, I think he doesn't know how to do it,
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people say they don't buy the romance because of, regardless of, just, clearly I think it's that's his issues are part of the appeal though. And I think that people dismiss that, she knew him as a boy. She does care about him. There's a attachment there already. The fact that he's, awkward and he struggles with being angry and, obviously needs somebody to take care of him because Obi-Wan's not doing a good job recognizing and dealing with his issues, at least not in this film. And there is an absolutely realistic version where someone like her would, just make the decision to kind of save him or be attracted to him. Like, that happens all the time. People who act like it's not realistic. I mean, is it well played? Is it well written? No. But the idea that it's unrealistic, I think people skip over that because they just don't like the dialogue.
One of the things about it to me is that part of the intention behind it was that she falls for him because he treats her like a normal person, where everybody in her life has been treating her like a queen and a senator her whole life, and that draws her in. Because the issue with how it's written is her attraction to him isn't fully fleshed out. It's just kind of a moment when she's just like, you know what? I love this guy. They needed more of her falling in love with him instead of him just being in love with her.
Yeah, but I'm just
getting up on it because I
love Dax.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he is. This guy has more charisma than half the film.
Right? This is one of the best parts of the movie because it's just, I don't know. It feels more real. It's goofy. Yeah. I love this thing. It also makes Obi-Wan is like, he has a, he has friends. He has contacts.
Yeah.
This character's name is Dexter Jetster. Okay, Dexter Jetster.
I mean, Star Wars and the way they name characters is we could do a whole video about that.
Oh my god, yeah. He's a basilisk. That's the species name. Oh man.
You love
without him, we wouldn't have Pong Krell.
Yeah, like on the sides, like underneath like his main ridge, he's got like almost like feathers sticking out. It looks like, or something, just
braids. They look like dreadlocks.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, on the back, he's got the little dreadlock, and then his mustache is epic.
Oh yeah, I love the mustache. Just this whole diner scene, the stuff in the background is really good. There was like another character behind him for a second that looked like a drunk little alien. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy walking up.
Dax is
Go ahead.
Dax is also the same same species as Pong Krell, who is the master from the Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Is,
No.
Cal Kestis master.
You're mixing things up. Master Pong Krell was the main Jedi for a 4-parter episode of the Clone Wars.
That's
He
right.
wielded
Dang it,
two
that's right.
double-bladed
Yep,
lightsabers.
that's right. Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. He is one of the most hated villains. Yes, Jedi Master Pong Krell, one of the most hated villains in Star Wars among the hardcore
That's right.
fans.
Who's the other guy I'm thinking of?
Evil. I know his name. He's voiced by one of the voice actors on Critical Role. Oh my gosh, what is his name?
Joro Tapal.
T'Pol, yes, Joro T'Pol, because he was actually named after T'Pol from Star Trek, because the writer was a fan.
Oh, and he's the same species as looks like Zeb.
Mm-hmm. Which was the original design for Chewbacca. Jocasta Nu. Do you guys know about the character of Jocasta Nu?
Is that the librarian?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know there's a whole thing about her.
She's a bitch, but all right.
Whoa.
They did a comic, okay? This was a comic that was done under Marvel, under Disney, so it's considered canon, where she escaped Order 66. Darth Vader hunts her down as she breaks back into the Jedi Temple into a secret vault only she and the council members knew about. And she fights him, and she uses a gun that's powered by lightsabers and shoots a giant lightsaber beam. It's
I'm
really
kind of
cool.
into that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
See,
So
I like Anakin's outfit here. He's got like, a little scarf. Yeah, if he just lost the braid, His hair just-
Hey, he's a
Oh,
Padawan learner. He can't lose it yet.
You know what's interesting is that Hayden is like a decent looking guy, but again, kind of like Ewan. He's just like, it does not do him any favors. Oh, the haircut's so bad.
no. Exactly.
Like,
and it's
he's-
the
yeah.
little tail in the back, not just the Padawan braid, but that weird little, like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
the little wannabe ponytail in the
wolf
back.
tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rough.
But no, he's a good-looking guy, and he's very charming and charismatic. Did you watch any of the behind-the-scenes stuff?
Oh yeah, he's a crazy hard worker. He loves Star Wars. That's what I mean. Like I genuinely am so happy that these kids are adorable, and at the same time you're like, well, everybody's got to start somewhere, I guess. Oh man, but I mean, I'm genuinely so happy that he kind of got, not kind of, he fully has been re-embraced by the Star Wars fandom. And just people want him back. I mean, in Ahsoka and in the Obi-Wan show, despite the issues in those shows, it was so good to see him come back. And he still might be the best actor that can wield a lightsaber as far as just like actually being able to do it.
Oh my god,
He's legitimately good.
Yeah, I guess that like coming back to Ahsoka, they didn't even really need to do a lot of rehearsals. He just pulled it out and was whipping it around. Which sounds bad out of context. Lightsabers.
Well, his whole backspin thing that he kind of started doing, and I think he actually saw a stuntman do it, if I remember right. But he just was doing it perfectly, and yeah, I do feel bad because oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name, Rosario Dawson, fantastic actress, but I feel like she just was not in the same league as Hayden when it came to just their fight sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I do like
I think I struggle with talking about Ahsoka real quick. Who do you put, like, granted they didn't, I don't know. Did they know that they were, I mean, obviously they knew they were bringing Anakin back and and they were going to battle a little bit, right? And you would think, who would you get then if, like, to play an older Ahsoka?
Oh no,
that is physically capable.
Yeah, and I don't. I think they did it perfectly fine. I actually don't think that was a weak point in the show at all. It was just interesting, especially in some of the behind the scenes. You could see that there was a little bit of a difference there. And Rosario Dawson is a fantastic actress. So again, I'm not intending to
She
throw
was
any
the
kind of
first
shade.
person cast. She was the first person cast in The Mandalorian.
Hmm.
Like the show itself. She didn't appear till season 2. She was the first person cast.
I do think
Like
out of
they
all
knew
the,
what they wanted.
yeah. I mean, obviously there could be an unknown out there that I have no awareness of, but out of like actresses that I know of, I can't think of anybody who fits the role of older Ahsoka better than she does. So
Yeah.
no, I
The
have
actress that
no.
they have Storm.
Go ahead.
The actress that they have for young Ahsoka in the Ahsoka series, or like Clone Wars contemporary, Storm
Mhm.
Reed, I think. Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
No, not Storm Reed. That was the other one. But
Ariana Greenblatt.
Yeah, Ariana Greenblatt. Yeah,
Yeah, she also played
Fantastic.
young Gamora.
that
Oh,
was
is
it.
it
Yeah,
it's the same actress?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So okay, they're back on Naboo here, right? So
Mhm.
it's
Actual set in Spain. Actual manor house. We also missed a brief appearance by 2 YT-700 freighters,
oh nice.
otherwise known as Millennium Falcons.
Okay, so is this queen supposed to be as young as Padme was in the first in this Phantom Menace?
I don't think it's supposed to be as young. I think she's supposed to be young.
Because I do want to know, like, I was always curious, like, what is the governmental system of Naboo that they go for queens who were teenage girls to obviously be like, you know, a leader, but with council. Like, I'm curious their governmental structure now.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be able to wear the white face paint.
That is a requirement. Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
The actress looks like about 27, maybe. Yeah, around 27.
Because she looks
when
way
she
older
filmed
than Padme was in Phantom Menace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the look on Anakin's face. You're like, what do you like? Call me out here as being like, I'm not, you're just a Padawan.
Throwing me under the bus.
He's such a brat. He's just like, you stepped on my toes. Oh gosh.
You hurt my pride.
Yeah, just
Politicians.
poor Anakin. But he's just like, yeah, he could tell. He's so emotionally immature.
He wants to be the hero.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, he has main character syndrome. Darn it, he is the main character.
Yeah. Okay, Jedi Fighter.
Oh, I love these.
I always liked these. Also, pretty good Xbox game, but I did like the idea of the hyperspace ring. It just like it made sense that making a fighter bulky enough to hold the hyperdrive in it, wouldn't make a lot of sense because you could make something super nimble and small. Although they managed to cram them into A-wings back in the day, or I guess in the future.
That was the main difference. A-wings would travel separately, or they would be inside the hyperspace bubble of larger ships. The only ones that had hyperdrives installed were X-wings and Y-wings.
I beg to differ,
And
sir.
B-wings.
I played the video game, and I jumped to hyperspace all the time in my A-wing, and that was canon at the time in my head. So,
Hey,
I think
you
that's
know
just one
what?
of those indiscrepancies.
you're probably
Indiscrepancies?
Your
No.
head canon
A-wings-
is not head canon in my
A-wings-
head.
A-wings jump to hyperspace in Return of the Jedi. They are out there in front of the fleet, jumping before all the Calamari cruisers do it. So I'm just saying it's on screen that A-wings came out of hyperspace on their own.
Okay, you're probably right, but now I'm going to go read about this. Go discuss Kaminoans.
I do actually love the design of the Kaminoans. I think they're super just unique and cool, and just they don't make a lot of physical sense, I guess. Like they just look like they would just kind of fold in on themselves. But they're beautiful and cool and very alien.
If it was a planet with low gravity.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I would love it if like Obi-Wan was kind of like bouncing a little bit.
Right?
Like he was trying to not like enjoy himself. These Chinese soup seats, like they're like the spoons you get for like your egg, your egg drop soup. They are. Look at them. I swear. 100%.
You're not wrong, but now you
Now I want some egg drop soup.
differently.
They really did trust him immediately. Right? Like, oh, you're a Jedi. Well, we're just gonna tell you everything.
Yeah.
Well, they
A
didn't
lot
have
of
any
people give
reason not to.
criticism. A lot of people give criticism as to like Obi-Wan's investigative skills regarding this entire scene, but this is what I think somebody intelligent would do. They would just kind of go with it.
Oh, yeah.
Because if it's not, then, information's going to be shut off. Information's going to be shut down.
Well, I think that's yeah. I mean, I'm definitely somebody who gets critical of these films. I think that's again a kind of a crap criticism because Obi-Wan does follow his clues. He has the dart. He knows somebody that might know something, and he goes and he's told, no, that can't exist. He doesn't take no for an answer. He goes and gets somebody else's opinion, and then like a good detective, he goes out himself and figures it out. He gets here and he just kind of tries to play along to the best of his ability. I don't think Obi-Wan deserves really any flack for being, because he's not a detective, he's a Jedi. But he's logically following clues, and he doesn't just immediately give up as soon as he has a block put in front of him. I think that's a criticism that is played up more for clicks than for
I'm sorry,
substance.
just gonna say it now. Padme's trying to entrap the heck out of that Jedi,
man.
boy. That's so messed up, man.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. He's
I'd
showing the
become a
back.
Sith too, man. I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna sit back and
Oh.
watch. Some
There's
people
something
give
about a
criticisms
bareback.
about her. There really is. A lot of people give criticism about this movie and have accused George Lucas of being kind of a pervert when it comes to her wardrobe in here, and I don't think it's that bad.
No, it's not.
There's only one piece of clothing that he designed himself, which is later, which is the
that
corset.
black one.
The black one. The big thing that people don't like, from what I've read anyway, and heard some complaints about, is later with the scratch that takes off like the belly of her
Midriff.
white thing.
Yeah,
Like that is a little much. Oh, that scene just it's creepy. Creepy smile. Creepy smile.
Well, and this
But
she's like
into it.
I feel like she's definitely kind of back and forth in that second, like right up to the kiss. She is like going back and forth in her head.
Yeah, it's just there was another
and
sequence
if you think
with
sorry, I got to get this out really quick.
Do it.
Basically, like the number of times he's like tried to like challenge her. Like everyone, like as the queen, everyone does what she says. As a senator, everyone does what she says. He's the one going no, or trying to anyway. And so I think she secretly liked that.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the thing that makes me sad is that there's another whole sequence in between those two scenes of like them with the queen and that scene where she went and visited her parents and her sisters, and he's interacting with her family. She's showing him stuff from her childhood. Her sister's like, "Who's
a lot
the
changed.
boy?" It's so good. Well, I'm not going to say
I
it's
know,
I'm just saying
but it helps justify a lot of it.
It does. It does. Dude, the amount of acting that Tamora Morrison and I forget his name, Logan something. Logan person. Old and young Jango
Boba
Fett,
Fett.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel Logan. I was thinking Logan something. Daniel Logan. They do a lot in this movie. A bounty hunter called Jango Fett. Do you guys know the story of Boba Fett leaving Obi-Wan?
Why does that little set piece right there? Why did that look like the saucer section of the Voyager?
Right. But do you guys know the story that Ewan McGregor told about filming the first meeting between Obi-Wan and Boba Fett?
I have not heard that one.
He gave a little. They had Daniel Logan and Ewan McGregor at a Star Wars Celebration, and Ewan McGregor tells this story about how George Lucas was like trying to get. He wants 11-year-old Daniel Logan to just like look suspicious of him, and he doesn't really know how to do it correctly, and the takes aren't super good, and so Ewan McGregor tells him, when you open the door, just imagine that I had let out a really horrible, disgusting fart.
Okay.
And apparently that's exactly what they need. And his reaction of just disgust and like, what the heck that he pretends to do is exactly what they needed. More proto buns.
Gosh. Oh, man. I always imagine that like the food container they got back there is like a kind of the luxury version of what Luke had on Dagobah. He pulled out of his X-wing.
This looks like a Naboo bento box.
Oh man, this is just again. I feel bad because I think I I I sympathize with what George was going for here. I really do. It's just not well executed. Like
You see, I actually like this scene. Well, not the whole scene, but this part.
say really,
Them talking about politics and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's not the most complexly written dialogue, but having them, they have the little disagreements. You see their points of view.
yeah.
Um,
Well, again,
you know,
I
it makes
don't
the
mind the
relationship not
themes.
just talking about they love each other.
Oh yeah.
They're talking about stuff that, people
again,
would talk about.
You're right. It just needed a second pass by a better writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Well,
I
obviously they did by the guy who wrote The Scorpion King.
oh god, yeah, that's not the guy you get. You don't need freaking Aaron Sorkin to come back and rewrite it, but somebody who can give it, a little polish.
No, Aaron Sorkin needs to write for Star Trek, not Star Wars.
No, it was a joke. Although every time I hear politics, I always think of him. But I like, the overall beats. I just,
Giant tick monsters?
yeah, I just wish that they were given. I mean, even the idea that, she kind of sees. There's the attempt made. George doesn't just be like, and now they're in love. Like, he's trying. It's just not a strength he has to write this kind of stuff.
No. Yeah. Because I hate the design of these creatures. Who sat there and went, hey, let's make them giant ticks? Like, let's have it so that a tick and a cow had a baby.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I hate it
Man,
so much.
Any 18-year-old boy that has a woman sitting on him like that is going to be like, okay, anything you want.
Yeah.
Anything you want.
Anything you want. I'm a Sith now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Most realistic part of these movies. Turning to the dark side for Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
She pressed his lightsaber extender button for sure.
Did you move your lightsaber to your pocket? No. Here, wet fart. See? Little face.
Oh, goodness.
Ton Wee went on to be an important character in the series The Bad Batch. And
That was such a
met
good
her end.
series.
That was good.
I was surprised. I thought that it was going to be just a brainless cash grab. It was actually quite good.
No, it was genuinely good.
Love Tomorrow.
I love the interior of these quarters. I think is like the closest we've had to like Imperial architecture. Just for a second, a little bit of like white with like the black panels, and you got the rain on the outside, but just like over everyone's shoulder, the way the lights are set up, and it's just definitely you see little bits of Imperial architecture creeping in. I mean, obviously we've seen the clone armor already, which is the kind of the predicate, precursor to stormtroopers, but still, I love his armor down there. On the ground, just chilling. He doesn't even try to hide it. Just like, yeah, it's mine.
And until he tells Boba to close the door. There's actually this kid's novel that I read about Boba Fett during this entire movie, and I loved it. I was like 12 years old, and it goes over this whole scene from Boba Fett's point of view. Well, that was called Tyrannus.
I was bummed that the only moment we got of him playing an actual clone was that little tiny shot in Obi-Wan, where he's kind of like begging, but still has parts of his armor on. Because I would have.
For now, I'm betting there's going to be.
You think?
Clones coming up? I think so. I think maybe Rex, maybe Cody. We don't know what happened to Rex and Cody yet.
Yeah. You think like in Ahsoka season 2
Well, and then
maybe?
the whole Bad Batch didn't get wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're different enough because they're mutants.
Yeah.
They don't
you wouldn't have to get the same.
Well, Hunter's pretty normal.
That's true. That's true.
Just give him a big old face tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tamora Morrison is apparently just super fun to work with. I was reading up on some things. He was a personal request by Jason Momoa when filming Aquaman that he be hired to play the dad. Yeah,
Oh,
so
he's
this
using the force.
I got to show off
this
a little
whole
bit.
thing, like, what the heck is this? Why is this?
See,
a
why
thing?
could we not?
He just wants
we
to
could have
show
gotten
her-
rid of this. We could have gotten rid of this and gotten the meet her parents moment instead.
Like, the dialogue is interesting enough, but like the whole
You know, but
floaty thing,
this is George Lucas like, hey, watch me do CGI.
You know,
this is also abuse of power.
is her bite was not well comped, by the way. That was just kind of disappeared.
No.
Here you go.
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
Here's
saw
the
that.
corset.
This
the
outfit. Whew, she can barely breathe. You can tell she's like, all right, yeah, my
Yeah.
boobs look great, but I cannot breathe.
Yeah,
I can't breathe either.
I saw one of the interviews with her, and she's talking about this one. She was just like, at the end of the day, she's like, "Cut me out of this thing."
You know, one thing we haven't talked about at all is and I mean, again, I feel like it's easy to kind of dunk on this movie, but this was the first major, you know, huge release shot on digital, and
I was gonna bring that up.
yeah, technically speaking, you know, we talked about Phantom Menace, you know, last week, and just the incredible set of it, you know, just all the bar being moved. I mean, this was a film where, again, love, you know, despite your feelings, George Lucas, he moves that bar. I mean, he's one of two or three guys, you know, him along with guys like Spielberg and Cameron, and later Peter Jackson, that just were like had the vision to just, you know, break through these glass walls of tech. And whether they did it perfectly or not, you know, it still is just undeniable how massive a contribution it was to, you know, what film evolved into over the years. And this movie was a huge, because I mean, now shooting on digital is normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, George Lucas, he moves the bar for technology the way that Padme moves Anakin's bar.
Just, you had to, well, you know what, you brought it back to the scene. I applaud you, sir.
But I weirdly enough, okay, I always liked the little crown thing. I don't know why. I like the headband.
Well, so what
Makes
distracts
no
me.
sense.
Isn't that what Obi-Wan was wearing
I was
in
just
the
about
fighter?
to say that. The problem is it's too similar to what Obi-Wan's piloting headgear
Yeah.
is. It's
Give
exactly
it,
the same.
give it a couple of jewels on the front.
Yeah.
Come on.
You've ruined it.
Yeah, no, it is.
You
Like
ruined it.
Obi-Wan only gets it halfway across her forehead, and his forehead, and she gets the whole thing. But
I wonder if they use the same props. I never noticed that.
oh, it's exactly the same gauge of metal, thickness, all that stuff.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh man, this. I mean,
Goodness.
bad dialogue. The whole I wish I could wish away. It's just like it's rough.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I'm like, what would I have used instead? You know, like instead of the word wish.
Well,
what? I wish I could wish away.
It's the same sentiment. I mean, and you talk about just the, you know, a difference in writing, and I mean, to be fair, these are good actors, but you know, that fantastic scene down in Moria, you know, between Frodo and Gandalf, where he's, you know, if I just, I wish none of this had happened, and Gandalf's reply of just, you know, so do all, you know, but that is not, you know, it's just, it's the exact same sentiment, but done so much better in Fellowship with the Ring.
Hold on though. That's a different. You can't. That's not
It's the
apples
exact
to
same-
apples. That's
it's
not
the exact
fair.
same sentiment being.
That's not
Yeah, it is.
fair. No way.
What are you talking
Sorry,
about?
dude. You can't judge. No, you cannot use
Why?
personal feelings of love and wishing that away as compared to wishing you weren't on an adventure. Those are two different things, man. You
You're-
can't do it. That is
You're
disingenuous.
You're still saying, I wish that this wasn't the way it was.
I know.
You whatever. I love that, like, he has to stand out in the rain to make this phone call. Hop into your fighter, for crying out loud, you know?
The phone call. Love it.
But, like, I mean,
I love that you said
no, but the
phone
thing is-
call.
wouldn't you just, like, hop into your fighter, turn on the heater for a second, and be like, all right, let me warm up. Let me, you know, make myself presentable before I
But
FaceTime Yoda here.
The thing is, then he would have to like he'd get the inside of it wet, and they have to get out, and when he goes back in, be all musty. Like,
No, it's
leave
got
it dry,
dehumidifier
you
in
know?
it. It's got a whole life support
Yeah, let's
system.
not. Yeah,
No, that
yeah.
doesn't.
Let's. Yeah.
It's got
That
some
dog don't hunt.
filter that takes care of that. They're just like
the
poor
dog
Obi-Wan here.
hunt.
I mean, I do appreciate that the movie keeps it, you know, uniform as far as like it's not like he comes across perfectly. And that they're just like seeing him here, like obviously in a horrible situation to have a conversation, and they're just like calmly be like, "I have some more questions for you. Can you hold on for a second?"
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, there's no way to have a private conversation doing this because anybody who's just like looking out windows, like, oh, I can see, but Obi-Wan is screaming his conversation. There's no privacy of any kind on his side.
Yeah.
Throw it in your butt or something.
That line was always so weird to me, and I'm like, the what?
Your ability to
But again,
use
it's one
the
of those things
Force
that they
has diminished. I don't.
Yeah. It's like not something that they go into anymore. But apparently that was one of the main things, like they're weakening.
Yeah. Hayden was in good shape for this movie, by the way.
Yeah. Also, that was part of some retouches. Her voice is louder than it was in the originals.
I knew that there are a few little tweaks, right, that were made after the theatrical release.
There you go, Georgie boy just can't keep his mitts off of it. Like this scene right here. Look at how well shot this is, right? That's a beautiful shot. Like, of the wide shot there of him standing in front, amazing.
Yeah.
Also, I think this is a really good look for this type of movie for her. It's not sexual. It's not sensual. But it's very attractive. It's vulnerable. Like, I was really looking at their clothing through this whole thing. His too. It's not romance novel BS, but it's enough that it shows vulnerability that borders on sensuality. And I don't know, I love the costuming in this movie. I cannot talk highly enough about it.
Except for the guys.
Actually, I would just say except for the Jedi as a whole. Because Anakin's garb is actually quite good. It's his hairstyle that's not great. Because his is slightly different from every other Jedi.
They should have all just looked as though they never cut their hair. Really. Just all had the what's the tribe? The Benjamites?
What? Oh, the Nazarenes?
The Nazarenes.
Like a Nazarite vow?
Yeah. Nazarite vow. Okay, I actually think that this fight is genuinely good.
Oh yeah, this is great. This is one of the best parts of the movie.
And also just like the lightsaber and the blaster fire looks so good against like the rain and everything. It's just like the contrast, the lighting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the rain hit the lightsaber and like burn and like steam?
Like sizzle a little bit. Yeah, probably.
The core strength to be able to crawl on that pillar at that angle. Good God, Boba.
I feel like Obi-Wan would have had it at a singe right there. The explosion was right on him. No little kick. Wow. It's a good kick.
Mortal Kombat.
Little Terrace Kasi fighting.
For those of you who are unaware, one of the worst Star Wars video games ever made.
Oh, easily.
Was Secrets of Terrace Kasi, and it was just this really janky fighting game, mid-90s. But it's referenced in Solo.
Oh. Oh man, I feel like
at least he's lubricated.
Django didn't quite think this out. I don't know.
And once again, Fets and their frickin' jetpacks, like they got problems.
Do you appreciate that Obi-Wan's like realized after he, kicked him? Like, I didn't think this through.
Yeah. Jango Fett, at this point, was renowned as one of the greatest Jedi killers in the galaxy. Really, though? Also, you notice that, like, the little antenna's gone off his helmet.
And, there we go.
Whee!
Use the Force.
This is nuts.
I'm sorry, the sound effect for that sucked so bad.
Well, I also love, too, that,
such
like...
a bad...
Yeah, well, and also, too, just the idea that, like Obi-Wan can, like, keep a grip on, like, a freaking, 1/8-inch thick cable.
Then, I know.
And
I did like the crawling up, though.
Oh, yeah, no, that was good. He opens the door with the force, instead of the button. That's nice.
If only he remembered Force Speed from the first movie.
Well, but I also love
that.
that there's when Django like turns around like crawl up, he turns and flexes, and one of the armor plates like literally like bends, because it's obviously plastic.
Oh, did you see him hit his head, by the way?
Oh
Yeah.
Django Fett hits his head, and it's supposed to be an homage to the stormtrooper hitting his head in the original.
Nice. I did not catch that. Okay, I'll have to watch that again later.
Okay. One of the things I loved about, I think it was Mandalorian season 2 or Book of Boba Fett, they show that the inside of the Slave One is on a gimbal. It's gyroscopic.
Yeah.
Love that.
Back to Star Wars cannot resist going back to desert planets whenever possible.
Yeah, dude. I wish that they had stayed away from desert planets in the sequel trilogy a little bit more.
Hold on,
to
though.
make Tatooine
Question.
a little bit more impactful.
Isn't that where his mom lives? Why you mad, bro?
Yeah, it makes sense for this story.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not.
I
Yeah,
know, I'm just
but it's just
thinking-
they just can't help but to return to the well.
Again, this is another costume, very kind of Princess Jasmine-y.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that he's like here, like sit down and look at the flies. Really sell that he is not in the same place anymore, status wise, as he used to be.
Well, this is supposed to be fallout from him losing a massive bet against Anakin on the first one. I hated that. The sound effect is too Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it was very. I just love the flies. I don't know why they go back to him again here. Just they sell it for me, and he's like got like on the side of his face, his hair is a little shaggy, and just
Yeah, he's gross. You could just I feel like I can smell him.
Yep,
and it's
That
not
just
good.
tells me Annie was really running the shop because he couldn't even put that droid back together.
Right? No, that I think I recall that from the book. Or no, maybe it's just something else. I think that was a huge thing, though, is that he just... Yeah. Now I'm just watching it now. Somebody say something. Why is he wearing a World War I British helmet?
and it's not symmetrical.
No,
you notice that?
That's the top of one of the droid, the top of one of those the little nose droids.
Yeah.
He's wearing it as a hat. That's
interesting. Beat that.
I do not say okay. I don't like the head garb thing that Padme is wearing. That like completely. She looks like I don't know, like a Bene Gesserit all of a sudden.
No, well, there's a reason for that. The whole thing is the lighter colors, the large hoods, and
Still got
she's
that belly
wearing
button
something
poking
very
out.
similar to a hijab.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is supposed to be kind of cultural to what we know, but in kind of a spacefaring-ish thing.
Yeah.
So there is a parallel there that I don't think is a copy. But again, that's why I liked the costuming in this movie. It's because it did stuff like that.
It's a very pretty thing, but it's definitely, kind of gets to that. All of a sudden, she's got like full midriff underneath the cloak, but her head's totally wrapped up on a desert planet. Be hot as heck underneath that thing.
No, actually, that's one of the reasons why they wear those things over there. That is not nearly as hot as you would think.
Yeah, but I'm guessing the costume designer didn't give her the right fabric.
Oh, certainly not. But we can extrapolate that she's trying to be
wasn't enough
comfortable
skin
and
showing.
fashionable.
Yeah.
Ooh, seismic charge.
Yeah. The sound effect of these things is very memorable for sure.
Legendary. Oh, it's like
But look at his head thing.
I could have an ASMR
Zach,
of these things.
Yeah. But yeah, look at
Like, there's a
Obi-Wan's
reason
head.
they brought those back.
Yeah, his headpiece there.
Oh my god, you're right. They probably just took her freaking headdress and then redid it for him.
They just rotated it around 90 degrees.
This is one of the more memorable scenes in the movie for me. I love this sequence. Oh, and we're also gonna get Daniel Logan's evil laugh in here. That's really lame ADR. Like, feel so bad for the kid. First time watching this, I thought there was gonna be a worm.
The sound design here is really good. I also like the lighting as they go through. Just like, I don't know. It's a sequence that is, I think you can kind of mock it, but also it's awesome.
Question about the sound design. They're in space.
Well, that's all Star Wars. I mean, that's all science fiction. I mean, other than that's a good shot. That was a trailer shot, but man, it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I do love
Yeah,
that Obi-Wan still
great.
says blast.
Yeah. I like the kind of flak cannon look of it. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be an airburst type of fire, if he's hitting like micro
We're hitting the
pieces.
shields.
Oh, that's true. They do have shield generators on those things.
We got him. I love that. Like, okay, stop. Did he like had to recharge his lasers all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I think that really gets.
Oh
Really
yeah,
close.
I'm definitely the guy that plays space games and leaves with 20 missiles and comes back with 20 missiles. I'm like, lasers work just fine.
Yeah.
This missile is really good tracking, by the way.
Yeah. He's got they're AI powered.
Hey, in a galaxy far, far away, long, long ago, chaff.
Yeah. Right? Ooh. That was a trailer shot. I remember that from the trailer.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
This will
You know
trust
what I
the
love?
kid.
And so they said somewhere where, well, okay, that's dumb. Never mind.
I mean, Han
Someone
Solo,
made a
you know,
comment.
he heard about that from Obi-Wan. Right
Well,
there.
and they said, well, Boba Fett knew about it because of that instance, and so he knew to wait and see what Han Solo was gonna like. Wait and see because he didn't just disappear, which is
don't know
lame
who
because
said
the
that.
kid
I
doesn't
feel
even
like
know.
that's
Yeah,
bullshit.
I don't agree. I read somewhere that said that, and now I definitely don't agree.
I
'Cause,
do
yeah, the kid
appreciate.
had no idea.
I do appreciate that.
Anyway.
If you look closely, you can see that those are like the center of like the droid ships, like the same like core design down on the planet there.
Yeah. Yep. I loved that.
Yeah, well, they actually there's an entire massive deleted sequence from the climax of the movie involving so all the Jedi are getting killed by droids, right, in the arena. Hi-Adi Mundi, big forehead Jedi, and
Yeah.
a strike team of other Jedi go and infiltrate one of those and battle their way through the corridors to a control area and destroy it, but it doesn't shut down the droids like they were expecting, and they realized they've been decentralized and can't do the same thing in the first movie. But they cut it all out, which
Well, I mean, I don't mind because they never use that as like a tactic to defeat them again. So
yeah. It would have been a waste of time, I think.
I appreciate that they just took the ship out here. That there wasn't any like side plot of like grabbing a camel and like riding out to this place. Like no, they just like got a ship. Just walk back to the hangar and fly it out here. Why would you do anything else? Apparently, this is shot in the exact same spot, right?
It is because they left all of it there, and some people were living there and everything like that, and they gave him money to let him do it. And okay, cool thing, George Lucas didn't want to return to this spot for filming Episode 3, so he filmed the end of Episode 3. The baby, Baru and Lars, Obi-Wan walking up to them with his hood over his face and everything. They filmed it while they were staying in Tunisia filming these scenes.
I remember when earlier today when I was watching, and there was the tease about like, oh, you're shooting something for episode 3. It's like, well, yeah, because I'm already here. Like, well, what is it?
Yeah.
I can't tell you. And yeah, it makes sense.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, you don't have
And
to
then this
bring.
guy, Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. League. Horrible name.
Yeah.
League.
Plus, too, they definitely kind of inferred here that like you bought your wife.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you really think about it, you might decide that it's problematic.
Yeah. But I mean, it's also just this is the way it was. I hear it doesn't make it good. It's just, you know,
Just is.
it just is.
That's
Come on, Padme, cover it up. Jeez.
Oh.
No, yeah, do that.
See, that now looks comfortable.
Mm.
I think.
Yeah, this is her Jasmine outfit.
Yeah.
This is her Jasmine outfit.
Yeah.
Arabian Nights.
An Arabian day. Yeah. There was going to be in the original script and in the novelization. Actually, there's an entire thing following the Lars family all the way up until this that deals with the kidnap and hunt for Shmi Skywalker. It was a lot more fleshed out. I remember seeing somebody talking about how they would fix this movie, and one of the things that they had is actually making Owen Lars not an actual like brother, but essentially being like a close friend of Anakin and establishing it like that way instead. And yeah, I thought that was an interesting idea.
Interesting. I like the shadows, and I mean, we do have the that bike shot coming up. It is a really good shot. The Binary Suns in this one.
Oh yeah, like again, he's a visual storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
His visuals, the technology isn't always good for the visuals, but the visuals themselves are never bad.
I've never actually done this, but I've thought about it before. Where the people said you could watch these movies like just on silent, and they would still work. I've been kind of curious to actually do that and just see how they would flow. I feel like if you could just if you could just have the music and no dialogue, I feel like that's
yeah. I was literally going to say, I think I would disagree because so much of Star Wars is the music.
Oh, I'm not saying it would make it better. I've heard people say that there's a version of them that's interesting, and I'm like, yeah. Oh, you bring back a little bit of the chanting.
Jawas.
Yeah, a little shot there of the like almost like a camp. It's like,
yeah, use of miniatures.
I do enjoy
right
the
here.
yeah, good.
Oh,
I just like the architecture.
These Geonosian spires.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be like ancient termite-like spires, and they're actually practical.
Oh yeah,
they built them as
fantastic
miniatures
models.
and then digitized them.
Yeah.
I love the
Well, I do love behind the scenes, and spoiler alert, we are going to do Lord of the Rings later this year. Not for a while though. That there's a lot of connective tissue between the work done on these and then what led to Lord of the Rings. Like there's just a lot of technological links between them that I really appreciate, and model work and digital work, and so much of it. They get you kind of just are tied together on the backside, and I've always enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because the idea of taking a really good model and then having it be I think that obviously the balance was better in Lord of the Rings, but that combination is still there, and so much of this I think this genuinely looks good. I think so much of it looks good when you can tell that it's a composite between something real and something not. When it's all digital, I think is where these movies really suffer a little bit visually, when you can tell that it's just a green screen or a blue screen and there's nothing else.
Yeah. And here we have the first appearance of Christopher Lee as Count Dooku. Sir Christopher Lee, I should say. Legendary.
And Darth Tyrannus.
Oh, yes, Darth Tyrannus is here as well. But
okay, do you think that, is it either that, like, Dooku already knows everyone's here, so it's no big deal, or he just doesn't sense him here?
I don't know.
That electronic warbling is messing up his ability to sense the Force.
Like, I love the aliens in this movie too.
Oh yeah.
This species here, the Moon, that's the species of Darth Plagueis.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Here we have the return of the bad guys from the first one.
Oh yeah. So was Dooku aware of the entire plan, or was he just aware of his part?
He was aware of the entire plan.
So he knew about the clone army and all that.
He knew about the clone army. He was actually the one who he was the one who removed Kamino from the Jedi archives before he left. and he was under the impression that he would be rebuilding the Jedi Order as like a Sith order after the rise of the Empire. He was going to be like the new Yoda. He was going to be their evil Dumbledore.
So he definitely got played by
Oh, yeah.
Palpatine.
Or a fool.
Yeah.
He was going to be Saruman the Wise.
Oh, yeah. Dude, Christopher Lee, what a treasure of a human being.
Yeah. Oh, it's just as sad.
This
No,
is a rough scene.
Yeah, and this is where like the execution not perfect here, but just the reaction. Yeah, the weight of it.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin's reaction to it, just the immaturity he has to know what to have the power he has, but not the emotional maturity to handle it well. And seeing his mom like this, I mean, I get all this is all compelling storytelling for sure.
Yeah.
I actually really like this scene. I think it's one of the better scenes in the movie. I don't like her like final words. That was too cheesy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit? In Looper, the movie Looper, when the kid like gets hurt and like destroys the room, right? having this amazing power, but not having the ability to control it very well.
Yeah. No, that's That
it's
is
like because guess what? I'd have done the same darn thing.
Yeah.
I'd have done the exact same thing.
So you don't like her
at
last
that
words
age,
being,
and maybe at a 40-year-old too. Yeah, you know.
So you don't like her last words being "I love you"?
But the incomplete. I just thought it was a little cheesy.
Okay.
I mean, it being incomplete and him not being able to hear that is actually a good idea.
Yeah.
The same way that like the whole Martha thing, interesting idea, but the way that it's executed didn't do it.
That's right. Ooh. Oh, he's angry now.
This right here, though. This is good. I like this.
The music is very good here too. Just
yeah, the music helps. Yeah.
I do. It's compelling. I also like the idea that Tusken Raiders would not have anything they could just stop him.
No. There's some fun expanded universe stuff. That's his boots just sliding on the comped floor. There's some fun expanded universe stuff about the Tusken Raiders legends about Anakin and Darth Vader. Like it's some good stuff. The script. Yeah.
The tiny little bit of I do love the tiny musical cues that kind of are, like right there, just that little bit, like looking forward to the Empire, and just
despite whatever writing or whatever, the music, the music is so good, the writing almost doesn't matter.
Right? No,
almost.
I've had the exact same thoughts. They'll have to try something else. You see, this is actually I like the way that it does this, tying them into it. I think it works with the world that they've created. I don't know. I like it.
I do love how fast he's like, he like called Anakin's comm link. Like, no, it's not there.
Well, it can't connect to it. It's not like.
Oh no, it makes
he's
sense.
Not picking up.
No, yeah, it makes sense. It's just like
it didn't even let him leave a message though.
Yeah.
Because there's no IP on that planet.
I do like the idea that Tatooine's been established, is out on the rim, and he's out on the rim. It is all. It makes sense.
Apparently, like this right here, the fighter, the Jedi fighter there was actually practical. It wasn't CG.
It looks like it. It has that tangible. Okay, I do like the idea that there's a little tiny detail that reminded me of A New Hope, down next to where R2's plugged in, like the translucent thing kind of like pulses out a little bit as it's like being written onto. And the same thing on the Death Star. There's a few times where as R2's reading into the wall, there's like a similar thing. I don't know, just a tiny little tech callback.
Yeah.
Aww.
See, this is good. Like
Yeah.
the physical acting, Hayden Christensen is a physical actor. Has always been very good.
Yeah.
Um,
And look
Yeah.
on his face is genuinely like potent there.
and the little bit of moisture in his eyes,
Yeah.
like,
It's good.
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I think Padme's switched
Wait,
to like
did we already miss? Sorry, continue.
well, like Padme almost switched to like almost like a Native American garb there all of a sudden.
I just realized that we totally passed over the sand scene.
We did. That's because it didn't need any additional clarification of how bad
No.
it was.
What are you talking about? That's a masterpiece.
I do appreciate that he's down just tinkering, like working on stuff, because that actually is a real. You just want to, you kind of return to something really primal,
Yeah.
just to make yourself busy. I mean, it's a little detail, but I like it.
Same.
This is supposed to be like this is literally the Luke shot, the workshop where, Luke's T-68 is in the back, right? And New Hope, and he's, yeah. I mean, I like the history of this room as much as it's
The oil bath is right there
Yeah.
behind Padme.
It's great.
Wait, Padme in a bath? What? Just kidding.
Get your head out of the oil bath.
I'm just teasing. There you go. No, I was just reading some behind the scenes and stuff that originally the character of Count Dooku, or that type of Darth Tyrannus, if you will, was going to be a female character, and that's actually how we got Asajj Ventress in the Clone Wars. That was kind of the original character, and then when they signed Christopher Lee on, they were like, instead of trying to flesh all of this out, what if we just use him as the Count? And so,
Yeah.
They
Because I was
originally
gonna
also
mention that
wanted a
last-
shape-shifting creature, but then they made the shapeshifter Zam Wesell. So there's little parts of what was going to be the Count Dooku character in different side characters, which I think is really cool.
And a lot of that also comes out of Maul, because I was going to mention that Ventress and Ventress's, what was that? Mother Talzin.
Yep.
They were all born out of concept art for Maul and Dooku when they were going to make them female. Yeah.
What do you think of
This whole tantrum,
yeah.
though, I think it's pretty good.
What did I say? I think that him when he's sitting down is a little bit. I don't know, to be overly critiquing here. I think a little bit, but like the scene where he's just describing it and he's shaking and he's crying, like it again for a young actor in his first big movie. I think that Hayden absolutely delivered at times, and I am fully prepared to give most the flack to the worst parts to George's direction and not to Hayden's acting.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure.
I like that whole scene.
Yeah, no, it was good. I do think I both like the fact that Padme didn't really say anything, but I also I don't know. He just confessed to quite the thing there, and they just kind of move on from it.
But at the same time, this is one of the things that I always assumed: it's space racism. The Tusken Raiders are just little bitches and
It's just not
animals.
the same. Yeah.
And I don't think that she thinks of them as human, as that. I don't think anybody does. But I don't know. That's just me. I don't really like this. I feel like this should have been much briefer, or even just totally silent.
Yeah, he didn't need to say anything here.
Yeah.
I think he could have just
nothing.
He could have
Exactly. Him
just
dropping to his knees, grabbing the sand, and then letting it go, and then move on to the next scene.
Yeah, you could have had this. Yeah.
I think that if I would want it to where you could see him being overcome with that same grief, but you just see it solidify, the tears disappear, and you see it solidify in rage, like that cold, controlled rage, and then he swallows it. Jedi serenity, but you understand this is a powder keg of a human being.
Yeah. Well, and that's where too Hayden's. You said earlier, he's such a physical actor. For him being able to just play that silently, I think would have been very effective and played to his strengths.
George Andrews, Genesis.
I did appreciate that they showed that they're like forwarding this along.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that Jimmy Smits appeared in this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does.
Good old Bail Organa.
Oh, it's the Shield
Such a
ones.
fun actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Droidicus.
Oh no, I'm just it's the ones with shields, the ones who are actual problems.
In case anyone's keeping track, Padme's wearing her arena outfit.
Yep.
Where she's about to lose half of it.
I just say she just needs one last modification.
I love this costume. I think that it's just really good looking, and like, again, there's a hint of attractiveness to it.
Well, there's also a hint of something
overly
else to
sexual.
it. I mean,
I'll be honest, I
there-
didn't even notice that for years. until
there's some
somebody
seams
pointed
in just the
dude.
right place. I'm sorry, it's right there.
it out. I know.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Brian. See, I'm glad I haven't been the one making all the funny jokes this whole time.
See, once you notice, you can't unnotice.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so here's my question: does it go too far to you?
No, I think because I mean a little bit of sexy is totally fine. Padme is a very beautiful woman, you know. And the thing is, here's the thing too. Padme is not a pushover character. She is an intelligent,
No,
capable person.
and
She's
for sure.
she's somebody who's played. She's to me a good example of how you write, a quote unquote strong female character. I always
She's legit Leia's mother.
Yeah.
Like that's how you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like
So it's I feel like and this is a high fantasy story, in its structure, and so a woman being both capable and also a little sexy is that's how most of them are written, and it's fine.
Yeah, I could see that.
It
Because
does.
was
It's
thinking
not enough
about
to
that
bother me.
because- Yeah, I
And-
always felt like Revenge of the Sith did her dirty because they had such a good plot line for her, and it was fully filmed, and they were just like, "Nah, we're gonna cut all this out." And it's dang it. Really good in the novel though.
when did Clone Wars came out before Revenge of the Sith, right?
Oh no,
No,
Or was
Clone
it
Wars
after?
started in 2008.
yeah, it was years
Okay.
Years
after.
after.
So Clone Wars, I mean, really came around in the response of going, wait, what the heck happened in however many years? Like,
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
So
no,
I get-
actually, Clone Wars as an idea started with this movie because there were
mhm.
a bunch of things that George Lucas wanted to do for this movie, but he said that it would have to end up being like 5 movies, and he wanted a trilogy. And so he kind of collected them and kept track of them, and then he pushed forward Clone Wars.
When was that-
Especially after seeing The Last Airbender.
well, and when was the first take done? That like the short limited one that was done in the Samurai Jack style.
That was done between this movie and Revenge of the
was?
leads up directly to Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, I thought
That was done in 2004.
okay, because that was pretty cool. Okay, I was going to say too
Todoroki or whatever.
this thing that Obi-Wan's in here, kind of, I mean, in a weird way,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of looks relaxing. Like you just get to totally just little
Maybe.
takes the pressure off the back. You just kind of I don't know. I'm totally making
Yeah.
this up.
So, what do you guys think of the fact that Dooku flat out tells the truth here? Like, everything he
he's
says
monologuing.
is technically correct.
I mean, this is just the cliche, but at the same time, it's totally fine. Of just the villain, he, as far as he's concerned, everything is going exactly the way it's
You
supposed
won.
to.
Yeah.
And I think that he's speaking as somebody who's a true believer in what he's doing.
Yeah. But do you think that maybe he's trying to, like... Do you think maybe he's trying to recruit an apprentice to
I think he's-
potentially take over for Sidious?
I think he's hedging his bets, if I'm honest.
Well, wasn't he in some extended material somewhere. Didn't he have a connection to Qui-Gon? Wasn't he his master or like one of the guys that trained
Oh,
Yeah,
Qui-Gon?
he
he's
just
his
said
master.
it.
Yeah.
He just said it.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah,
Speed
he
of
was
talking.
his, no, you're good.
Brian?
He was his,
So,
yeah,
Brian, you
Qui-Gon
have
was
homework.
his apprentice.
Sorry.
Brian, you have homework.
What's that?
Okay, you have homework. Ignore Tales from the Empire. It was stupid. Go watch Tales of the Jedi on
Okay.
Disney Plus.
Yes.
Bunch of little short films, and a lot of it's about Dooku, and it's quite good.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched any
It's
of
like
those.
15, 20 minutes per episode max.
Man,
It's
but
great.
like, isn't Andor about to drop? Andor season 2.
Okay, this is before next week. Okay, this is homework.
Okay.
Okay. Homework.
Gotcha. But I do feel like the way that, because Dooku plays it so straight, in a way, he's not gloating. He's not
Yeah.
coming across in a very like,
No,
arrogant
I
way.
honestly think he's hedging his bets.
because I think a lot of those cliche scenes that are done, where the villain starts monologuing, is like bragging and kind of boasting, and he plays it much more just sincerely, like he's just having a conversation. He's not. I like it.
And here we go.
Jar Jar.
Jar Jar just doomed the Republic.
The Corrin, the other guys,
Butt faces. Spiky
the
heads.
ones that are wanted on 6 systems.
Great
No,
reluctance.
that's the other guy.
Ah.
I remember watching this with my dad, and he went, "Oh boy."
Well, I mean, this kind of thing does happen in history.
hmm
It has
Yes,
happened
it
before.
does.
It will happen again.
I mean, think about the monologue from The Dark Knight, right? It's just like when Rome was in danger, they would elect a single person to be put in charge to take charge of the defense of the city, And then the reply from Rachel, that the last person that Rome elected to that was named Caesar, and he never gave up his.
Yep.
Hmm.
Okay, I want to start talking about this now before we get to the actual sequence. Do you think that it was a interesting or good decision to kind of show how many Jedi kind of went out like chumps during this battle, or like that was effective in that it was going, or do you think it kind of just, because I was always mixed at the time. It just struck me as like, oh, well, that just seems to kind of make the Jedi seem, or is it make a grander statement about the state of the Jedi and all that? Like, what are your thoughts on just how many Jedi do not come out of this situation alive? Against guys with
That's one of
blasters,
those
by the way.
things- Yeah, that's one of those things that is showing like how far the Jedi have fallen, while also showing how powerful the new enemy is. But again, think about the deleted scene, right? Coyote-Mundi breaks off with a team of like 15 Jedi to go find the control center. And it's just like, yeah, it's a massacre. There's a not Qui-Gon. Mace Windu takes 100 Jedi to the arena, and something like 30 come out. That's huge losses.
Oh yeah,
But having only like 10 of them in the middle of the arena is yeah. Oh,
I finally figured out what species the other ones were. So it was the Corrin, and then the Aqualish is the ones with the butt
That's
chin.
right. Yeah.
she does look good
Aqualish.
with the like her kind of shawl thing, like as a kind of a cape. It looks good.
Yeah.
So did I miss? I just forget that there's dialogue as to like you can take C-3PO because you built him instead of like we need him. Can you leave him here, please? Because he like he's helpful. Or he just comes along.
No, not at all. Well,
He just steals them.
it's Anakin's droid. He just got it because he stayed with Shmi.
Yeah.
And now that Shmi was gone, like, yeah, no, there wasn't anything specific.
I'm just curious if I missed it. And again,
Crazy.
yeah, Anakin's like, it's fine. Just no biggie.
Ignore it. Like, I don't know. I love these things. I think they're creepy. I think they're great.
Oh yeah. The creature design is
They're the
is
designers. Yeah.
very cool, and especially given the architecture, it's very cool. Anakin just
Yeah.
killing lots of them.
Dude, did you play Republic Commando?
Oh, I did.
So many of those things, man.
Oh yeah.
She's lucky she didn't land on one of those burning hot ingots.
Yeah. This whole sequence, especially when you see the behind the scenes, ooh, that's a bad way to go.
I love that.
I do appreciate that they give them like a weapon that can't be deflected,
Yeah.
but Padme's just like, I mean, oh, she's just jumping around on like a conveyor belt against a blue screen, and they're just like, all right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's a cool sequence.
I don't know how to feel about the scene. I like it, but I don't. But I like it.
Well, it's the kind
It
of
reminds me
scene.
of the Chompers.
Yeah, it's an old school scene. It's the kind of scene you could imagine, yeah, out of a 1950s or 60s serial where it's just random danger just to be there.
And they're in a factory and they're going through a conveyor belt. Like,
Now here's one of my
Shut
biggest gripes
me
about the entire
down.
movie.
Oh my.
One
Ooh.
of my gripes about the entire movie.
HKC
is-
HKC 3PO, right?
R2 is
entire
totally
just
out to just
side
murder
quest.
3PO, by the way. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
The entire side quest of R2 and C3PO. I hate it.
Yeah, agreed.
It's rough.
And the freaking what do you call those things? Thrusters. I mean, I always love hearing C3PO whine, but I don't like it.
I also like, how did R2 have any idea that 3PO would like survive that? I feel like R2
I don't think he
just
did.
full on just
R2's a
did.
sociopath.
Yeah, he did not care at all.
R2D2 is a stone cold killer sociopath.
That's fortunate timing.
Yeah,
Oh man.
it's true.
Yeah, this whole thing is just it's
a
comedy,
lot.
but it's action, and it goes on too long. Like this, the sequence is too long.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh my god!
Oh, and then all this part. Oh, I'm beside myself.
Yeah, the puns. Oh
And
my
then
god, the puns.
you know, of course, he randomly, even though there's like two separate conveyor belts, and then gets perfectly in line. And just it's a comedy of coincidence after coincidence after coincidence.
Yeah, a comedy of errors.
But like not done.
And
I mean,
at
like
the same
there are episodes of like, I'll pull out like Frasier specifically, that sitcom nails the comedy of misunderstanding and, you know, things happening kind of just by accident and being funny. Like
I love this foreshadowing.
You can do that, and this does not do it.
One thing I did
Yeah.
love about that scene right there, where Anakin falls down and gets his whole arm like
Oh yeah.
trapped. Like, that's foreshadowing. He's gonna lose an arm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I heard crapped.
Man, R2 is got to be on this thing. What
Yeah.
is this machine doing? Like,
It's building battle droids.
well, I know, but
It's
like,
best if you don't think too much about it.
but what is this thing? Oh my gosh!
It's pouring lava.
Just
It's the smelter.
no. I mean, like the thing around Anakin's like, what was supposed to be there? Was it like making a mold that they were going to put metal into later?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly. It's like battle droid molds.
Man, okay, the timing for this is also like off because they just showed it one bucket earlier, where as soon as that sucker opened, lava was coming out, and they showed that like R2 didn't even plug in until after the sphincter.
That's how
opened.
quick he is.
Yeah. What are they building?
Of course, he loses.
It looks
his
like a battle
lightsaber.
droid leg. Yeah, I think it's like a thigh. Yeah, there it goes.
There's a
Bye,
lightsaber.
lightsaber. It was your father's lightsaber. Which one? Uh-oh.
At least he acknowledges it.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
like, you don't even
See,
have to
that's
say
a good
anything.
callback.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess
Like,
so.
If
Well, I'm not
if you
a fan
had
of
if you
Obi-Wan
had,
Obi-Wan's gonna kill me,
but
is
I
he?
do like the...
if you had cut this scene down by about half and just trimmed it down, it could have been a very, you know,
Like
just
10
a fun,
minutes.
fun
You
little
could have saved
sequence.
10 minutes on the film.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
could have put the stuff on Naboo back in.
Mhm. But it's not as exciting. That's a dumb thing to say.
Well, I
This
do
part bothers me
appreciate
just
that
a hair.
he is trying to be, you know, like he's trying to act brave, even though he's like there's no.
What do you think of the love theme?
The music.
Mhm.
I have a hard time criticizing anything John Williams writes.
Yeah.
Isn't that the truth?
But I mean,
Valid.
it's to be fair, it's a piece of music I have not listened to enough to really have an opinion on. It's not been one I've ever felt compelled to revisit by itself. I mean, I've heard it. I've listened to the soundtrack along with all of them. I have a mix of all Star Wars music in a big playlist.
Good
that
for
I
you,
go into.
Anakin.
So it's not as remarkable. It doesn't stand out to me. I guess I don't think any of John Williams' music is truly bad, but it never stood out to me as something special. But what do you think?
I don't know. I just kind of I like it. It's different from other
Yeah.
Star Wars stuff, but it fits at the same time. Even with the bad dialogue, it makes that scene
Yeah,
kind of
that's my problem. Like the dialogue is so bad there. Like, I truly, deeply am over this.
Oh,
Jeez.
well done.
Yeah.
Love this.
Just, yeah.
Well, that like sweeping part of it there. I mean, that is good.
Mhm.
I mean, he's rewriting. You know, he's innovating on the same themes. I love Anakin Obi-Wan just like, all right, you're here too. Now, okay, I do want to touch on Caravan of Garbage pointed this out, and I just thought that this was a great point. By chaining everybody up and having the monsters come out,
Yeah.
it is definitely like how much entertainment would there be for the crowds to have the prisoners chained up? You know, wouldn't you want them to run around and, you know, have like a little bit of a sport to it?
I
But you know
figured
what?
that the whole
Stop,
thing
stop,
was the
stop your
creatures were gonna-
logic.
It was something that they pointed out that I'm like, I kind of like that point.
No,
I love that delivery.
we don't know
Good
the
job.
Ocean culture.
I
you
don't
know?
know. I
Like,
mean,
they're gonna come out, and then the monsters are gonna fight each other after over the scraps, right?
Maybe.
And then they probably have. This is the opening act. They probably have more stuff going.
I love
Also,
the breastplate of the Geonosian leader is like a you know a mixture
Centurion?
of yeah he's got like some Earth cultures there of just like design in that breastplate.
That is Poggle the Lesser, and Poggle the Lesser is actually the architect and designer of the original Death Star.
It wasn't what's his face from Rogue One.
Well, Urso was the one who like perfected it.
I do like
I
these.
love these creatures.
Oh, they're cool.
He was the engineer. Urso was like the engineer and the scientist behind it. That guy was like Poggle the Lesser might have just been the designer for it. You know, you got your architect and you got the guy that actually builds the structure.
Yeah,
right.
I do love
Yeah.
the fact that like Obi-Wan and Anakin are both just like staring at these creatures, and Padme's like, I'm not sitting around for this.
Yeah, I always felt that the rhinoceros looking one that goes stop to me, but in like a good way.
Ha ha ha! On top of things,
But
so dumb.
what are you talking about?
That was a pun where one wasn't needed. Honestly, she could have just said, "It looks like she's handling herself just fine."
Nah, puns, give me puns.
The crowd's all excited. They're like, yeah, we actually get a fight.
Yeah,
There we go. Okay.
here we go. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Let's see how it tears. There it goes.
Off the,
They
of course.
even show the little piece falling.
Well, and they even get like they blood on the back, so that her stomach can
Yeah.
still look perfect.
100%. Dude.
Okay. I'm not gonna say that it's good, but I am gonna say that Jordan and I have some things.
Oh man, Anakin.
It's like I get it.
Can't do
like-
that. Shoot her or something.
It's just,
What's up, Mike?
oh gosh, I do like that they keep the blood on the back. They keep that. Although I will say
Yeah.
the physics of that like swing that she did are not like accurate. That's not because she like
Star
ju-
Wars doesn't have physics.
she jerks down and then randomly has like the momentum to like swing around and do the kick. It's just
Yep.
I love the like alien scream there as he gets thrown like Wah! It's not quite the
That's
Wilhelm
been
scream.
used several times in Star Wars.
You see,
have we had the
and
Wilhelm
the
scream?
sound
yet?
effect of the spear. No, the sound effect of the spear is not quite Looney Tunes, but it's just funny enough to be like, that's a funny sound.
Well, that's where I do that poor guy, the poor bug.
But the sounds of
He's
the little.
Anakin Skywalker's using his
He's a
doing his
beastmaster.
best impression of Ezra Bridger.
Yeah, I don't think he has animal friendship in his.
I mean, he was doing something.
Yeah. Woo!
He was holding his hands out funny like.
They're into this. They're
Everyone's-
like, hell yeah, let's go,
Well,
bro.
this is one of those sequences too where and I'm not saying this as defense or I guess a criticism. It's just a thing that exists. That George does write these also thinking about kids.
Mhm.
Okay, man, she just nails this thing. Crunch. That was
There goes her spine.
that was like 20 feet or something. Maybe not 20
Yeah,
feet.
her vagina's
Good
in
for
her
her.
forehead
Hey,
right now.
she's got pelvic muscles of steel. Okay.
Anakin will find out soon enough.
Now that scream, yeah, that scream has been used for other Star Wars creatures.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's like, you don't give me orders, bro.
He will die. That's true.
Oh, see, this is just
but
cheating.
not till the next episode.
You
I
bring
know.
out the droids.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Hey,
And
come on,
it's the
Darth
shield
Vader.
droid.
Deflect the blaster bolts. Come
And they don't
on.
have any shields up yet. They're just like, we don't need our
Mm.
shields.
This
Ooh.
I always did kind of like this, but even as a kid, I recognized that there was just something weird about the visual effects.
Yeah.
Like, sir,
I do appreciate that
Come on,
he's
if
like
he had been
barely,
less-
he's just barely surprised here. This party's over.
if,
That's such a Sam
if he was
Jackson.
a less honorable man,
Lightsaber, gratuitous lightsabers.
I love it.
Let's
And
go.
Gratuitous hand waving. Gratuitous hand waving. Also, this is the introduction of Jedi Master Ayla Sakura that
Oh yeah.
George
Jedi
Lucas
power
was a big
battles.
fan of.
I can't understand why.
Yeah. In fact, he was a little disturbed by fan response to Ayla Sakura that he made sure that she got a very definitive death scene in Revenge of the Sith. For those of you who don't know, she is the blue Twi'lek Jedi in a tube top who pops up through this whole thing.
Yeah. She very much dies in Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
And they
brought
magically
you
have
the-
extra lightsabers.
I mean, why wouldn't you pack a couple of extras?
Well, and follow-up question. Do you think they picked a blue and a green one because they knew they were going to have Anakin dual wield later and they wanted the different colors all included?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
That was my first thought after watching the movie. I'm like, that's why they did that.
I really wish Lucas had gone for more colors. Like, oh, sure, they all go to Ilium, and Ilium, like, it primarily has blue and green crystals, so most Jedi are going to have blue or green. Fine. It's just, prefer some variety. Give us some pink.
Well, but
Give us
they're
some
also
different
they're
pink.
also not at the temple, so you don't get any yellow ones because the yellow ones are defending the temple.
Because those are heirlooms.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
C-3PO is just annoying. In this movie, there's plenty of moments in Star Wars I like him, but not in this one.
Yeah.
This is,
It's just- So,
I feel like
There's
this
a lot
battle
of
is it's just
criticism.
kind of messy here. It's just other than the humor of C-3PO and this
and
whole
how
thing.
did that Jedi know to only hit that one droid in the head to knock the head off?
that Jedi Master is the reason why Obi-Wan has an open seat. Also, there's a huge criticism of The Last Jedi and the throne room scene with some of the weird shenanigans going on in the back. One or two. This sequence makes that look like a masterpiece.
It is. Yeah, it's just this is a very messy fight. Ooh.
And supposedly some of those Jedi might be members
That's-
of the band in sync.
That's
Oh,
tough.
I've heard that rumor. I kind of love that. I could care less about NSYNC, but I just find that to be very fun.
Sorry, Pat, what were you saying?
That's a tough comparison, Zach. You got what, 8 or 10 in the Last Jedi sequence, and you've got 600 in this sequence. That's not like.
Boom.
There's economies to
The shadow of the head.
there.
The shadow of the head flying off.
No,
you are right, Pat. I was mainly being just kind of snarky.
No, I get it though. I mean, the Last Jedi, like that throne room scene is really cool.
Until you look closely.
Yeah.
But
Right?
the thing here, if you notice about the death of Jango Fett, one of the things that they added in special edition re-edits was sparking in his jetpack, as if he tried to take off, but it had been damaged.
Yeah.
Oh,
You see, that line I was kind of okay with. That's a C-3PO thing that I
Yeah.
can imagine.
I appreciate that Padme immediately takes that's thing as cover. It's a smart
Cover.
move. Yeah, but it's just messy. Sorry, and you're like barely. There's not like a here they
I
have
love
time
that.
to like.
I love that the call back to the aggressive negotiations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
that
mean,
was good.
I don't mind the line, but it's just the idea that in the middle of a battle, all of a sudden we have time to like kind of quip and talk when we're like right in the middle of. I don't know. it's just-
Okay, like that doesn't happen
Oh,
in other movies.
it happens all the time. What I'm saying is this battle as a whole suffers from a lack of like energy and focus. It's just
that's fair.
random crap happening. One after
and
another.
if I can be honest, I think you have the benefit of hindsight here.
Yeah.
Because shows like Daredevil, where you get that hallway scene that's amazing, like put this to shame, of course. But like I think you got to look at it from the time it was made.
Well, yeah, and I get
Because
the
there's
vision.
been a lot more tightening up of battle sequences, I think, as time has gone on,
Yeah,
just
But
in general in cinema.
and putting a large scale battle, and putting it on screen, having the audience track what's happening, keep a couple arcs
Yeah,
happening.
that's hard in general,
It is.
yeah.
It's very difficult, and I'm not trying to think it's not, but it's just
While
this is-
using entirely new
tech.
technologies.
So it's unfortunate because this is the kind of battle that in concept is like I get it. When you're storyboarding this and you're like, oh, we're gonna have 100 Jedi fight and it's gonna be amazing and nobody's ever seen this and the kids are gonna freaking love it. I get all that and I'd be all for that. But it just ends up being sloppy.
Oh, look, there's Kiadi Mundi and Plo Koon. So I think you're right, dude.
Yeah,
Zach.
they got captured.
They got added to the group.
Yeah. And there's Ayla Secura in the background there. And there's somebody else with a really weird shaped back of the head.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
All the clickety clacks. Shock T's back there. First appearance of Shock T.
And
then
second
they're
to
just
last
there.
appearance.
Yeah. I did always like
Poor Shakti.
the clone the drop ships. I always thought they were cool.
Oh yeah, the
They were
LAATs.
good design.
Oh yeah.
Well, they look
little
like they're
gunships.
designed by they actually had some thought of like the job this thing has to serve, being both fire support and transport. I really like
yeah,
it.
it's sexy. Oh yeah, it's great.
But
I always
not only
hated
that,
that
but
they just appear. Though.
yeah,
Like they're just suddenly there.
it is a little bit yeah. But I just mean like the design of them. It feel like an actual military mind designed these things to work.
Well, I mean, look at them. They're very obviously inspired by like World War II and World War One,
oh yeah.
like boats and B-15s and stuff like that.
I do wish the
I
clone
don't- yeah, I
troopers
love it.
were shouldering their guns a little more though, and fighting a little more like regular soldiers. I love the magazines
What do you
up
mean?
on the top.
What do you mean shouldering their guns a little more?
There were a whole bunch that were, but the main one that we just saw there was
Yeah, they're just still hip firing. It's just a little. All right, it's a mixture. You're right, and the clones, for the most part, and the version
well,
that's
they're
been comped in where
cannon
it
fodder,
was-
dude. They're
yeah.
they're cannon fodder.
But
right?
they're supposed to be way
and you
less
figure
cannon
this is their-
fodder than.
But this is their first
droids.
battle.
I know.
This is their first actual battle.
So if anything,
Right?
they should be stiffer than they would be later.
Oh, the
You know
sounds
what?
there, man.
Never mind.
That's all right.
No, but I mean, like, and then we also have like the Bad Batch and like the Republic Commandos. Like,
Oh yeah.
those guys are a step up, right?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I like
Oh, yeah.
I like the clones as a whole. I like them. The idea here
Yeah.
that immediately you see Jedi leading groups of them, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. This sequence is good. There's
It's
something a
it's better.
little
I'm torn.
soulless
It moved
about
a little too fast for me.
Well, as soon as we get down and we see, you know, the so Dooku's acting like surprised here, and he's acting surprised for their sake, I guess, because he knows all about this.
Yes.
But I like that
Yeah.
we see the walkers, we see the troops coming in, and we see, you know, this is a sequence. I feel like this centerpiece of this fight is the best part of this entire action scene at the end of the film.
I agree.
I also like, what do they call
Um,
it? Acclimators? Is that the class of ship, the capital ship? Is it,
I don't think those are acclimators. But
or they're,
yeah, these are
I mean, obviously,
Well,
very, you know, they're supposed to invoke Star Destroyers, obviously, in their general shape. But I always thought they were just, it's just a cool design with the, you know, the more pronounced engines in the back and kind of the, I don't know, they just, I like
Yeah,
them.
Acclimator. You're right. The Acclimator and Venator.
The Venators,
main
the
capital
bigger
ships.
ones, right, that come in later.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, primarily Acclimator is primarily a troop transport and planetary assault ship. So you're dialed.
Nice.
Brian.
You have, yeah,
Every
you're
now
high
and
on
then.
that one. Well done, Brian.
Every now and then. Yeah, don't let them take off.
hmm
So one thing I was reading about was that like missiles sent by like the clones have a white trail, and then the missiles sent by any of the separatist ships have kind of like a darker contrail to them.
I love these walkers.
Oh, they're cool.
They're
I-
actually left over from original designs for the walkers from
That's
Empire.
awesome. I also like.
well, yeah,
love-
because Jalen Urso got to the walkers and suggested 4 legs instead of 5 because the 5th leg would have made them much more stable and resistant to harpoons and tow cables.
Oh lord.
oh gosh.
Have you ever seen that meme? It's so good. It's so good.
I really loved the and I think, which was it, in Rebels or was it in Bad Batch? Maybe it was in Clone Wars. It was where they had an episode where they found Rex and a couple of the old clones, and they basically they were talking smack about like all the new Imperial equipment. It's just such garbage compared to the stuff that they had in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I love that because one, that's totally realistic for soldiers. And two, it just was like just such a good character moment of just like, oh, this crap these modern stormtroopers use, you know? We had actual war equipment,
Yeah.
you know? Our armor was so better. These walkers were way better. They could climb walls.
Yeah.
I do love the walkers
Yeah.
climbing walls in the animated series. That was always cool.
Mm.
So, okay,
Yeah,
what did you
despite
guys
a lot of the
what did you guys think about this little tease? Sorry about the Death Star right there.
About the
Yeah,
Death
I
Star.
think it
I
was-
love it. I love it.
was
It's such a
necessary.
great callback. Yeah.
like they needed to sow the seeds of the Death Star existing.
Yeah, and the Empire too, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is the birth of the Empire, right?
Also-
Yeah.
It's Palpatine getting into power. It's, you know, the clones. It's, you know,
Did
all
you-
these pieces
Yeah.
for the puzzle.
Did you take the little gun pods on the transports, the little spheres that the clones are inside of with the
Yeah.
green beam as being
The
Very
hamster balls. Yeah.
little
Yeah.
tiny Death Stars?
yeah.
No, I always.
Well, and
yeah,
also
I like
TIE Fighter
visually.
esque.
Yeah, I mean, but like
Oh,
visually,
And like the TIE Fighter, you know, cockpit.
yeah.
Yeah, but also very reminiscent of the nose gunners on World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I also
Which
just
was
I,
apparently just the worst job to have.
I also just really appreciated in the Clone Wars, the series and this, that they showed multiple types of units. Like in an actual war, you would have artillery, you would have forward support, you would have, you know, like it's not just one type of trooper and one type of vehicle. You know, you would have this
These
whole
things
variety.
never come back.
Well, they appear in the animated series.
No, these big guys here with
Yeah.
the arms.
Oh, the little zappies.
Yeah.
The little zappers.
Yeah.
No, sorry,
remember them.
they modified
This
this
part,
shot.
I love the red and blue right here.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
the
with all the
This
particle
this
effects.
is such a. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
See
looks
some of them
good.
are shouldered.
Yeah, it looks good.
Hmm.
That was the
Oh, okay, I think it's the same
Return of the
Indeterminate
Jedi.
Desert Planet number 7.
Yeah. I mean, this one's red.
Oh, maybe it's the Salt Planet, right? I'm just kidding. Sequel trilogy is not canon, so that's fine.
And just a really weird comp on Dooku that they have
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
in
rough.
this sequence. Yeah. Okay, did you guys
So-
ever play Battlefront, like the OG Battlefront,
Oh yeah.
when you would have the
Good thing they were close to the ground there.
yeah, the OG Battlefront where you can have the ships on Geonosis and you could get a hold of those little things. They were just the worst.
Yeah.
I loved
Well,
it.
this and then the old I know I put it in Xbox. It might have been on PS2 also, or PS3. But the Clone Wars game, it came packed in with like Tetris on the 360. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember that? Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like one of the original like it was you played as the ground vehicle and you'd play as like the all the it was
I
right
love
around
that.
that
Go ahead.
No, I'm talking about video games. This is actually an important scene. This is a really important scene. Go ahead and talk about it.
I love that he like put it on Anakin. Like, what would Padme do in your position? Like, that's such a great way to like not to shut him up, but like, no, she would do her duty. And
Yoda is
and it's
on it.
also good because like, I mean, granted, I don't know how much time Obi-Wan has spent with the lady that he was supposedly sweet on, the
Satine?
Mandalorian, Satine, yeah. But it's like I like to think
Well,
he
her
had already
mysterious
been-
nephew Corky looks a lot like him.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I always feel bad,
Right,
by the way,
but
that the clones that were flying them in just immediately died.
I know, I saw
Sorry,
that
Pat,
too.
we've interrupted you like 3 times.
No, you're good. It just, yeah, fools rush in.
Noob.
Obi-Wan's hair is all like frizzed out there and just like
Like, Obi-Wan would be
He's been
absolutely
working hard.
terrified in this scene, because the thing is, Dooku has a reputation, okay? He is the greatest
The
swordsman.
swordsman. Yeah.
Like, there is no one better. He's a master of a Jedi, of a lightsaber form.
Ooh, that's
that's
not very
never
good
used
CG.
It's not-
The stunt double, you could totally tell it was him.
yeah.
There were some side
But-
profile shots. I was like, that was not Christopher Lee.
Nope.
well. And what's funny is I know Christopher Lee is old, but he's actually
79.
done. Yeah, but he has done
Oh yeah,
a tremendous amount of sword work on film. Like
he actually
I mean,
had influence on the shape of the lightsaber due to his fencing background.
yeah,
Yeah. He
I mean,
uses
he-
Form 2 Makashi,
yeah. He actually knew Errol Flynn, right, back in the day.
right? Poor guy.
See, Padme.
That awful sand run.
Oh man. I do kind of wish they had given. I don't know. I know the whole point here is to get to Anakin and get to Yoda, but after how awesome the Obi-Wan parts of the Duel of the Fates fight was, I wish that it had gotten a little bit better of a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he should have won or anything. I'm just saying Obi-Wan's not a pushover with a lightsaber, especially on the defensive.
So here's the thing. This was badass. This part right here, the
Yeah.
dual wielding. I remember being so excited about it. Regardless of whether he lost, we hadn't seen it before.
Well, and I like
Yeah.
the idea that he wouldn't have lasted a long time with 2, because he's not like he practices with 2. So
No.
he would have been very quickly been
And this
like
part right here,
Yeah.
where they're both up, is a great image too.
well, it's very very
And see
samurai-esque.
the blue and the red, like again, Duel of the Fates, right? He's going.
Oh, yeah.
He's switching. Yeah.
Well, it's like all of a sudden
so
they
good.
get the cinematography of this scene is it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then that. It's just kind of rough. There's a pause there. That's strange.
Yeah.
I did okay.
Mm.
Full admit, I do not like this part now. First time I saw this though, I thought this was
Awesome.
Very cool. I'm very
I-
mixed on it.
Everybody's wanted to see
Yeah.
Yoda go.
I actually like it to an extent. I don't like the bridge between their Force duel and lightsaber duel. I think that's stupid. But I do actually I like this, and I even like weird little jumpy Yoda.
Oh no, I mean
I think it's
there's
great.
like
I think it's imaginative.
yeah,
and different.
there's a kid in me that absolutely loves watching Yoda flip around, but I also as an
Yes.
adult am just like, oh, this is rough.
Why? Why is it rough?
It's
It's a fantasy, man.
it is, but it's I don't know. I actually have
What
trouble.
do you got? Come on.
I have trouble putting it into words because I like it's if you're watching this as like I just want like as a kid to kind of be entertained versus like really get into like lore and thinking about it from a more mature point of view, it comes across as kind of an
Yeah.
odd scene to me.
Why?
Because it's played out in a I don't know, like a we want I'm trying to get how to say it. It's written like a child wrote this all of a sudden to me. Just the idea of like,
Yeah.
it's obvious that we cannot, it's just like this.
Yeah.
It
He didn't
oscillates.
even need to say anything.
No, he didn't. I love him
This right
pulling
here,
out.
But that's the problem with this whole movie is they say too much.
Yeah.
If they just shut
Yeah.
up and get on with it, like
I also just the
hate that.
actual choreography of like maybe it's I wish Yoda.
Can you imagine that stunt guy trying to figure out all that?
Yeah.
See, I like it. I like that they're showing something we've never seen. It's very
Yep,
different because
agreed.
it would have to be so different. Because otherwise, you're just going to have two people hitting each other with sticks
Oh yeah.
for all of Star Wars. And
Yeah.
there's only so many ways that you can do that to make it interesting. So
I
add in a double-bladed lightsaber. Add in a little person who's super
Yeah.
skilled and he's hopping around like a freaking monkey on a calf or a cappuccino.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think and you're right. I'm not like I said, I'm torn because there's part of me that does enjoy it a lot. I think that you could have made the fight more interesting though. I think Yoda could have used his incredible athletic ability there when he's just using the Force full on to have done some more interesting things than just hop around. I think that you could have choreographed a duel that would have been more interesting than just the fact that he's spinning and flipping all over the place.
No, I
think
get it.
the technology of the time,
Oh, no,
I think, limited
coulda
them. They had to
I-
fit
I-
some
I
specific-
think
Oh.
I get what you're saying. Like, slow it down a bit. Don't make it so fast.
It just it felt like
Make it more intentional.
Yeah. It felt like it came out of the imagination of a kid with action figures pretending what Yoda would do, and maybe there are limitations, maybe there are whatever. And again, it's a
Well,
technical
hold on,
masterpiece.
real quick. Yeah, well, if you think about it, though,
for the time.
right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and Yoda is tiny. Mass wise, there's no way he's going toe to toe, blow for blow with that guy. He's going to have to move his body the same way Ahsoka is very nimble,
Yeah.
right? You know, when she fights Balin Skull, like he
But there
beats
was
her
no-
down with his big ass sword,
Yeah,
right?
but-
And it's
but
like
there
the
was-
same thing. Like,
Yeah. But there wasn't any ingenuity of like using that to,
yeah, it was
other
just
than
flip,
just
flip, flip, flip.
dodging.
Yeah.
That's my thing is other than just dodging and moving fast, there was no like I'm moving in a way that you would never anticipate as a traditional swordsman because I'm moving this way. I'm able to shift in a direction that's not a normal person wouldn't. I'm
Yeah.
able to like I think Yoda could have gotten like
Yeah.
a nick or two in like on his shoulder or his leg or something that would have made it. There have been and we live in the golden age of like I think stunt choreography in the last 10 years. The guys who made the John Wick films, the guy who's made the Mission Impossible films, the guys who the guys like Scott.
Totally.
There's guys.
None
who
of them have worked on a Star Wars film, though. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Because the Star Wars
They're-
we got in the last 10 years was crap.
So yes,
Anyway.
this is 20 years removed, but the standard for what a really well choreographed, and even in Duel of the Fates, I think that when you had Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, that little tiny like that last brief thing going in, the moves were still very creative, even though there was ultimately still two
Yeah.
guys with sticks. And I think that I loved this scene when I was younger and just was like, it
Yeah.
was so cool to see Yoda do it. But I would love to see Anyways,
I think I know why.
Grogu?
I think I know why. I think I know why. You
Go for
ready? Here's why. Because so Nick Gillard, who's the stunt coordinator for this, you know, good swordsman on his own right. So when he has two humans, I think you can conceptualize it a lot better. Whereas in that case, you've got one human and CG, and you have to kind of guesstimate where the CG is going to be.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Whereas like if he has two humans working on it, he can really he can really like work with them on the choreography, like person to person, like sit
Yeah.
them in the room and go, okay, yeah, after this is this. Whereas this, he's just working with half of the guy. He's only working with half of the battle.
yeah. I also
So
I also wish it was just longer. I think a really well.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I
if you
agree.
go back and time that, I think Yoda and Dooku's entire fight is like less than a minute. I think that if you would
Less
Yeah.
than a minute.
well-
That's less than 30 seconds
Yeah, it's-
of true like saber to saber.
yeah, it's
Well,
very
and,
short.
and Dooku had already just fought two other guys, so
Yeah, but those
he's
fights-
definitely, and you can
Those were
you can
very
see
short
him,
also.
No, but you can see him go
Ugh.
after he knocks Obi-Wan back and take a deep breath, like, crap, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like,
And I know that we're
worst-
talking through the whole.
Line in the series.
Um,
Okay, listen to the music here. If you went back 10 seconds and listened to the music, it sounded like Game of Thrones. It went na 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 na.
I do love pulling out the Imperial theme here, though.
Heck
Little,
yeah.
little
Really good, yeah.
tendrils of it. I mean, this whole shot is really good. I will say too, this movie it is very colorful, and I like that. Like it's just, it's a very pretty film. It's, I mean,
I hated
good.
I hated the line "Begun the Clone Wars" have.
Oh, yeah.
Hated it. You know, you should know better, Yoda.
And back to the love theme. What do you think of his hand coming up here in a second? Going
Perfect.
for the gold or whatever it is.
Well, it's the raw
mean, he is
version
pretty
before
extra.
he's tinkered with it.
that's true.
I don't think it's gold. I think it's silvery, and
Yeah.
it's just the lighting.
It might be, yeah.
I have one question. Why
Yeah.
are they back here? Why would he get to come back here? Why would they need to come back here?
This is a really good lost your arm physical therapist on Naboo, and she wrote him a really good recommendation letter.
Recommend. But you know what I mean? Like he should be back at the Jedi Temple, like recuperating. But no, they're all he's off. Punching that V card.
Oh my god.
He's boldly going where no man has gone before. Okay.
Oh my god.
We don't know that.
Oh my gosh,
We don't know
Pat.
that.
I'm crying.
He's just boldly going where he's never gone.
Oh. Oh, that's
but
good.
like I get what you like. You know, Brian, you were talking about the whole logic of the character. You know, why not let them fight in the arena? Why chain them up? That is my plot hole right there. Why are they back on Naboo? Why was he like? If I was Obi-Wan, I'd have been like, yeah, you can't spend any more time with her, man. I'm sorry.
Well, okay,
Oh,
so
goodness.
there's a big question that people have. She's like, how are they able to keep this up? How are they not knowing? You have to think about where the Jedi are at. Okay,
Oh, they're a little
There's the
distracted.
focus
first
on
time
the
in
war.
generations. Like,
Yeah.
and you, what's his face, flat out knows what's going on. You know, Obi-Wan is not, but he
Yeah.
knows that this is actually going to be something that keeps Anakin going, and
It keeps him
like,
grounded.
keeps him grounded. After the war finishes, Obi-Wan will be like, okay, sit down, it's time for a talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Well,
kind of the way that things are
Don't
supposed
they
to go for him.
don't they establish in the Clone Wars series at some point that like Obi-Wan fully knows and just is choosing to kind of ignore it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The beginning of
and-
season 7. And a couple of other
Jeez,
ones,
Zach.
but
You're
especially
impressive.
the beginning of season 7.
Oh. Samuel
What?
L.
Yeah, I remember
Jackson.
specifically because it was one of the first scenes after the show came back after being canceled for what? 6 years? 8 years?
I love watching the second worst Star Wars movie ever. Oh, it's so good.
Mm.
Actually, hold on, real quick. I'm gonna back up. There's a couple movies that are below this. They are
The Ewok movies.
Ewoks, yes, the Ewok kids movies, Caravan of Courage and Ewoks in the Battle for Endor. I'm sorry. They're not
bad.
allowed to be above these. Yes.
Oh, God, I forgot those
fourth worst
existed.
Star Wars movie. I know. Oh, Jess and I watched them. I definitely fell asleep, and she's like, "Dude, you left me alone. I had to finish them because I started them." And I'm like, "Sucks for you."
Oh man.
I'll never watch the. I mean, maybe we will. I will
we'll
never
see.
watch.
We'll see how bottom of the barrel we got to start scraping in a couple years for Zach. Oh man.
Oh, so good.
I saw those movies on VHS like 25, 30 years ago.
Someone bought them. Yeah.
Oh no, I mean it wasn't. I didn't own them, and I have a weird like I know I've seen them. No desire to ever see them again, and I don't even remember much about them, and I know I don't want to see them again. Oh man, I would watch this in a heartbeat before I watch one of those again.
Oh boy. Oh man, I maintain that in terms of quality and story, this is the lowest quality of all of the Star Wars films. I cannot put it anywhere other than the bottom, despite the fact that Rise of Skywalker and Last Jedi create in me a frustration, I dare say, an anger that cannot be fully expressed.
We know where
At
that
this
anger leads to, Zach. So I
I've
encourage you
always been a dark side person.
to seek the living force. And
We've worked out together.
And
You know my strength comes from anger.
But, yeah, no, this
and
is
a little bit of hate. No,
Oh, a lot of it.
I will say too, this is like one of the few. Like there are people online, you can find them all over YouTube that will defend the heck out of Revenge of the Sith, and even the Phantom Menace. You have to work a little more to find people who will defend this movie and maybe like not defend it as in like people who say I know there's redeeming qualities, but like defend it as being like high up on the chain of like there are people who put Revenge of the Sith up into the original trilogy level, and I'm like whatever. But like I've never met anybody who
you know who those people are, right?
Who tries
those
to get this thing up there.
There is a legitimate argument that Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi are about on par. Fly down here and fight me, Brian.
I will. Yes, I will.
Hey,
There.
the only reason
you'd be down here. We'd
Return of the
watch
Jedi, the only reason Return of the Jedi trumps it is without Return of the Jedi, you don't get Revenge of the Sith. So I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to say the Leia bikini.
No, I just like the things there is just
that's true because Padme's pregnant the whole third movie.
That's for somebody.
Good call.
I still just I think a lot of it comes down to
Did you say spoilers for somebody?
No, I said, hey, that's for somebody.
Oh man. No, I think Revenge of the Sith is a perfectly good movie. There's the
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming we'll probably get to those next year when we because right around like May again we'll probably do Star Wars, and I mean next should be that trilogy, right?
Yeah, we should do the original.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
We're gonna have to watch the freaking special.
Do we have
editions.
Solo? Do we have Solo somewhere?
Well, we'll have to do that
on our.
Yeah, we'll have to do that
because I think that'd be something cool to do, like in between.
If we kind of have two things to do. We could either do it earlier, or we could basically do it and then right into 4, 5, and 6, and just do 4 Star Wars movies together next spring, and then save the sequels for 27.
Goodness gracious!
Put that off for another year or two.
That's something to discuss off the podcast. I think.
No, this has been
but
fun.
Let's just say we're going to do them, okay?
Yeah,
if something comes up where we need to stop, then we need to fast track them.
Oh yeah, well there'll be there will be key films that we will do regardless. Even though I hope we keep doing this for a long time. No, this movie, I think that it's still Star Wars, and there's still there's still music moments that are there. There's still something cool about seeing Jedi. There's still watching the fight between Obi-Wan and Jango. There are moments.
Of course.
is it? I can't. Jackson Dexter. What's the guy's name with the mustache?
Oh, Dax.
Dex.
Jets.
Dexter Jetster.
Dex Jetster.
Dexter.
That's great.
Dexter Jetster.
That's great. You know, I mean,
So-
like, there's, you
So
know,
real quick, Brian, hold on. Stop. So let's do this. Let's go around the group and do 3 favorite things and 3 things that that are awful about this movie.
all right.
Could
Go-
you
go-
could you do it?
I can
could
do
you
it.
do it?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right, go for it.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay.
Oh, I know. I'll go first. 3 favorite things. Oh gosh, this is tough. So the dialogue, and I don't think it's not a favorite thing. It's a
I'm about to
bad
say,
thing,
I thought you were
sorry.
doing favorite things first.
No,
You said
no.
dialogue. I'm like, wow.
No, bad thing.
a
Bad things.
bold
Sorry.
choice.
Bad things. Well, I went to go pick the 3 favorite things, and I realized I had my 3 bad things first, as I should. The dialogue and the amount of it. I think this movie suffers from over dialogue. Like, hey, get to the point. You can move, and as a result, had to cut out some stuff that would have been more valuable to the story. That's 1. 2, it loses some focus. You know what? C-3PO is number 2. He's doesn't even need to be in this movie. No offense. I get
2.
like the whole claim to fame is the droids are in all the movies. Great, but he didn't need to be in the movie. He didn't provide anything. 0 value.
I think that he should have been in it. I think he should have been in it far less.
Or in it in a more role
Find some way to
specific-
substantially use him.
Yes, of
Or
course.
not
No,
even,
not even
not even
that. Just have
substantially.
him there.
Just have him be in
Yeah.
it in a way that
for sure.
isn't cringy.
Yeah.
Everything up
And
until him and R2 get out and go walloping around on Geonosis.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Have him take an oil bath.
Mm.
I'm kidding.
You just want to see him take a bath.
how good this feels, Master.
Padme's like, I'll go next.
Wow.
Ryan,
Wow.
wait till I get to my 3 favorite things and we'll talk about her. Okay. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Third thing. Just I don't know. Just I don't have a third thing. I don't think, and it's not that there isn't things, but I just think without the Phantom Menace, if this was a movie by itself, it'd be like, what is this? What is this garbage? But because it's bookended by two, Revenge of the Sith, good movie, Phantom Menace, an okay movie to start things up, right? So yeah, and then my 3 favorite things, just the big battle. Yeah, it was busy, but just lightsaber palooza. Loved that. I loved the way that I love that they were able to pretty well set up Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship fairly well. I think they said too many words to do it. They could have done it more in action. But yeah, and then I like Dooku as a character. I really do.
Yeah, he's played
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. All right. Who's
Yeah,
next?
All right, I'll go next.
All
All right, you want me to go last?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm
All
kidding. I just all right. So
And
3
with
things
wisdom.
that I liked. I really liked the variety of settings and aliens. This is the first Star Wars to have more than 3 planets. This has all kinds of great extras and world building around it. Second thing, wardrobe. Really genuinely love the wardrobe. Just throughout all of it on everybody. Like from Dexter Jetster's line
Pants
cook
falling down.
pulling up his pants bullcrap to Padme's overly extravagant and occasionally very attractive clothing. Not to be overly objectifying, but she's just very good looking science fiction woman, this one. And for the third thing, I really loved Jango Fett personally. I think they made him dangerous and competent. If you his initial appearance, otherwise. But I love the actor. I love the portrayal and the clones and everything. It's just favorite part of this movie, in my opinion. Things I didn't like. Ewan McGregor's freaking hair. Um, the the just wobbly script. Specifically the attempts at comedy. Which encompasses all that we were talking about with C-3PO and R2-D2, the weird kind of Looney Tunes boing when Watto's there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just there's certain moments that do work, like again Dexter's butt crack. The stuff like that's a little bit more in-world and subtle instead of it's a gag. And then again, the script, begun the Clone Wars. The hell. But otherwise, I'm gonna just go with the love story. Just I hate that they deleted that scene on Naboo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That needed to be
The
in
meet
there.
the parents scene.
Yeah, Bren.
Well, I'm gonna go bad first, so we can end this on positive. So I mean, I the whole script, it was unfocused. There was so many examples where either the dialogue, Star Wars doesn't need to be Shakespeare, but and not that any Star Wars movie has just Oscar-worthy dialogue, but this movie was definitely, I think, one of the worst offenders of just clunky dialogue that is delivered at a weird tempo and editing. It's not good. Whenever it was funny, almost every time it tried to be funny, it wasn't. And when it was funny, it was kind of more just because the situation itself was just kind of amusing, and it was played well. It's just bad. This movie's legendary for its bad dialogue, and it deserves every bit of that legend, in my opinion. I do think, in hindsight, I think that the Jedi portion of the battle is, to me, not a big upset. I think that it's cool. I think it's definitely, if you take it in a vacuum in that era and just look at it from that point of view as like kids and late teens looking at it, it's like, oh, it's just cool because it's Star Wars. But it's something that as I've learned more about choreography, I've learned more about how you can put together battles and writing and just how you structure that kind of stuff. It's not good, in my opinion. And I think that's actually highlighted by the fact that the brief middle where they're showing the armies clashing is better because you have an idea of what's happening. Mm-hmm. The dialogue actually gets a little bit better as far as, the objective of we're trying to push through and stop their ships from escaping. And there's coordination between different... I mean, like, it gets good all of a sudden, which is an odd thing. And then lastly, I wish that the love story was... Because the love story was bad, and that's why I wanted to say, like, kind of what I wish out of the bad things is I wanted to... Because there's two big, like, parts of Anakin's fall, which is one, just the tragedy that he came from of his mom and his background and the fact that the person who really believed in him, was fated to die before he had a chance to really work with him. And that the relationship with Padme had to be in secret and that it wasn't, that there's just all the things that could have helped him avoid his fate all had these massive, either there was death or asterisks of hidden. It's just it's, and I wish that because those ideas are phenomenal, they just weren't executed very well, and I just wish that they had been given, a pass by a slightly better writer, or just some editing choices that would have helped flush them out a little bit better, because I like the concepts. I've said some version of this many times. The entire prequel trilogy I think is fantastic conceptually, just execution wise, rough at times. Some of it's rougher than others, but it's just. I said this about other franchises. There are certain bad movies that make me mad, and other ones that just make me sad. This isn't a bad movie that makes me mad. This is a bad movie that makes me sad because there's a really good idea here that's just badly executed. And that's like, it's sad because Star Wars is something I love, and this is a story that if it had been told better would go down as one of the greatest things ever done on film, instead of kind of a mixed bag. So good stuff, though. I want to go back to the middle of the last battle. I think that when you actually see the clones engage with the droids, there's so many good shots there. the dropships coming in, that scene where the sphere ship falls and the particles, and you see like the lighting is so good. It's a very gorgeous film. I like Coruscant and just like the world building, as Zach pointed out. I think that this did more to kind of build the world outside of just Tatooine, and that's basically it. You actually got, I mean, Naboo obviously was explored a little bit in Phantom Menace, but yeah, fleshing out the world better, I think, was a big strength. And what's the third? I gotta come up with one more more good thing. I this is a cheat, total cheat, that this ended up launching one of the best storytelling endeavors that Star Wars ever had. That if you hadn't had this movie and the gaps that it had, you wouldn't have had the series that made my kids fall in love with Star Wars. Because without the Clone Wars series, I don't know how much my kids would care about Star Wars. That is what made them fall in love with it. So that's a big part for me. And, and that show, I think it gets, I'm going to kind of an underhanded compliment here. I think that show gets more credit than it deserves sometimes as being like amazing. I think that show had plenty of weak points in it, but its highs were really, really high. Like it's kind of like Star Trek. A third of it, not great. A third of it, pretty average. But the third that's good is so good that it elevates all of it up and makes the whole thing being remembered well.
And it gives you such a great kind of look into what the characters were doing between the second and third movie. And like, I was never a big believer. Like, I didn't watch Clone Wars day one. I didn't watch it day two. I watched it so far after the fact, but I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I went through the garbage episodes to get to the good ones to learn about, what was going on and Anakin and Ahsoka and, My
kids had to talk me into watching it with them. I was like, I don't know, guys. This is like, really? And then finally, I just relented because I wanted to spend time with them because there's life situations I won't go into on this podcast. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad that I was like, all right, I'll sit down and watch this, and went through some of the arcs. And I was like, okay, this is actually, this is pretty good. And then later I was like, this is really good. And then, I mean, I got to a point where when the final season came out on Disney Plus, I was just as excited as they were when that came out.
Right. Well, and funny enough, I watched most of like the Bad Batch. I watched all the Bad Batch on my phone, and then got an opportunity to go down to Lucasfilm and do a screening of the final season of it. There was the first 2 episodes of the season, and got to watch it on a big screen. And I remember partway through the first episode going, oh, this is a cartoon. I forgot. This felt like Star Wars. Like, you know what I mean? And so, like, the fact that there's the ability to have good writing, live action, animation, it doesn't matter. Just have good writing. It doesn't matter what medium you put it on. Just make it a good story, make good characters, and we'll love it.
Yeah.
The problem is it seems like everyone keeps trying to do their own thing. Like, George Lucas definitely indulged in this movie, and again, there was no one to tell him no.
Yeah.
Which he was the guy. I get it, but
yeah,
it is what it is. But we'll get Revenge of the Sith next week, and we'll be rocking and rolling. It's gonna be great.
Yes, we will.
Looking forward to it.
So much I can continue saying on this stuff, but I'm not going to right now.
Yeah, well, we will. I'm sure we will continue a lot of these right into next week.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Be ready to listen to me ramble on about of Revenge of the Sith by Matthew Stover, because goodness gracious, is it better than the movie?
Oh, the book?
Oh, yes.
Are we reading the book or are we watching the movie? I'm just kidding.
No, but are we ready for it?
All right.
Anyway, This has been Jar Jar's Big Adventure.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody who's still listening, and drop us a comment and let us know what you think, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow, that room will eat you.